on.
Hello! Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for session 0 of Trinity's Wake, a swinging Mage 20th edition actual play here on the HappyJacksrpg network. To find all the sessions of this game, which there aren't any yet, you can visit happyjacks.org/Trinity's Wake. And to find all of the shows on the Happy Jacks network, visit happyjacks.org. My name is Adam, and I am your storyteller for this wonderful game. Back in the hot seat after not running a game on stream since pre-COVID, so I totally know how to do this and know exactly what I'm doing. This is my first time running a game in the new studio too. So yeah, so it's all kinds of new, exciting, fun stuff. And I'm going to screw up a lot. I will try to give you another NPC name that you can make fun of me forever about. We'll see what that turns out to be. That's an inside joke for anybody who watched Interpol X, my first streaming show that I ran on Happy Jacks. We probably will have some content warning maybe at some point, but I'm not sure. So we are just getting started. Today we're going to go through character creation, and we're going to talk about mechanics a little bit, and we're going to play some Decima. And by that, I mean Golden Any award-winning Decima, the best accessory of 2023. So that's what we'll be doing today. If you have never played Mage before, hopefully this will give you an idea of how to get started in Mage. If you've never played Mage before, you can tune in on future episodes to see how I don't run the game the way it says to. But that's okay, because it's Happy Jacks and we do what the fuck we want. Okay, so just a reminder, so we will be creating a Lines and Veils document for this game. We haven't yet, but we'll be working on that before we have our session 1. So we are going to use that safety tool. We also have X cards, both subtle around the table and visual around the table, and all players should feel comfortable to X anything, especially for content that makes you uncomfortable. And then we will, after we talk more about tone, we might use X card for tone or other stuff. But feel free to use the X card, and we want to have a safe and happy experience here at Happy Jacks. So I am going to now turn it over to introduce our players, and we're going to start over here with Pooja.
What? So excited.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I am Pooja. I will be playing a character that we will figure out in the next few hours. Just really happy to be at this table. It's going to be so good.
I know. I'm very excited. I'm like, Camille, run World of Darkness, but I want Pooja. Yeah.
Hey, everyone. I'm Nick. And coincidentally, I will also be playing a character that we're going to find out about soon.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh.
Imagine that.
I know. I feel like we wore the same outfit, and one of us is going to have to go home.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. Actually, everybody's already shared their character names with me, but for some reason, they're all named TBD. It's a little weird. Yeah. I don't know how we're going to figure that out, but... Thank you. And over here.
Say Tad be dabbin'. There's your NPC name.
Tad be dabbin'.
Yeah. Anyway, hi, I'm Courtney. I'm also playing a character who we'll discover as we go. But it's great to be back with the crew. Jason, I see you in the chat watching us. Yes.
Jason.
I got like half our Castaways crew. It's good to be back with the crew and my new friends. And so, fun fact, Adam and I have known each other for like 15 million years, but we haven't seen each other in a decade.
Yes.
So I'm so excited to play with you again.
Yeah, me too. I'm very excited to get to play with you again. So, yeah. And this time we don't have to like dress in costume and meet at some really sketchy theater down in downtown.
I mean, unless we want to.
Right, yeah.
We could.
Yeah. We're sketchy enough here. Yeah.
We could dress in costume.
And
where we are.
Right, yeah. Who is our new friend?
Hi, I'm Dion. They invited me to play a while back, and for some reason they invited me back. So I'm happy to be here. I presume I'll be playing a character Maybe I'll figure it out. Over the next couple of hours will tell.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we're
I'm gonna be
all
here.
in for a bunch of surprises today. So, yeah. Want everybody to give a special welcome to Dion. It's Dion's first campaign streaming here. Dion joined us for a one-shot a couple of months ago that Pooja and I were in that Jason ran. It was a blast, and we loved him, so we're bringing him back.
Adam and I threatened to throw toddler temper tantrums.
We really did. Yeah. We were like, if we don't get to play with Dion, we're going to scream. But now that we get to play with Dion, we are screaming. Yes.
I do want to say,
Yes.
you said in your intro, I've only known you for about 4 hours, but I did hear immediately after our one shot about your story with the character name.
It will never die. For those who don't know, let's let you in on the inside joke. In my very first streaming campaign that I ran for Happy Jacks, I created a character named Colonel Graf. He was a German officer that one of the characters had a past relationship with. And then they asked me his first name, and I looked it up in my notes, and I replied that it's Otto Graf. And as soon as it left my mouth, I knew I had made a terrible mistake.
Or
a brilliant stroke of inspiration.
Yes. So Otto Graf lives on in infamy. Who knows? Maybe Colonel Graf will show up in Mage because it is the season. It's 1945. So. Let me tell you a little bit about our story. So first of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the setting to kind of tease you a little bit. Then we're going to go through character creation with everybody. Unlike a lot of times, we didn't do any preliminary character creation or discussion before starting this session. So nobody really knows exactly what they're playing. So people have been able to look and get some ideas. And so we have some rough concepts, but we'll flesh those all out together on stream. For most of the people who join us for session zeros, that's half the fun is discovering things along with the characters, with the players. So that's what we'll be doing today. And then we're going to play some Golden Annie award-winning Decima to sort of flesh out our world and our relationships a little bit, sort of build a past with these characters. This story centers around 1945 Seattle and a very eccentric and inspired mage named Nona Redbird has recently come to Seattle based on visions and prophecies that she has had to create a world where magic users can explore magic freely without having to choose between the very conservative and controlled 9 traditions of the mage lore or the technocracy, which is the sort of new world order where they want everybody to have the same controlled paradigm that they're in charge of. So our characters are going to be part of this group that Nona has brought together to help create a space of peace and education and learning and exploration here in 1945 Seattle. Obviously, there's another war going on besides the war between the traditions and the technocracy, and that is called World War II. We're not going to be dealing a lot with World War II, but it's obviously going to be a big part of the story because it's 1945, and that's very heavy on everyone's minds. But the real war that we're going to be dealing with is what's called the Ascension War, and it's it's just getting started in full-blown warfare between the technocracy and the traditions. So that's kind of what's happening here in 1945, and our merry band of ragtag mages are going to help create a world where people who don't want to war over controlling everyone can actually thrive. And we're going to do that in the age of swing. So there's music and parties and a lot of drinking and everyone trying to have a good time as the entire world, both the mundane and the magical, fall apart around them. So good luck, strap in, we're going to have a good time. Okay, so that's kind of where we're starting right now. What I'd like to do is kind of go around the table and ask each of you, like, sort of where you're leaning towards in a character, what kind of concepts you're thinking of. It's okay if you're not settled. It's absolutely okay. We can create your character and then you can turn around and make a new one for next time. That's fine. But feel free to like explore things. I really like the process of creating characters together at the table and learning about each other and building yourselves together, because I think it brings a lot of richness and a lot of connection to your characters. At the time we start, your characters will have been together in the Mayflower Club for at least 6 months or so. One of you might be the FNG and has only joined a few months ago. One of you might have been around since Nona started pulling everything together, back in the 30s. So it's really up to you, and you can make you can fit in there anywhere you want. But we want to have a little bit of an established history between the characters, even if it's just a few months. You know each other. You don't have to get along. You don't have to like each other, but you know each other, and you at least know that you can trust each other in the world that you're dealing with. So I'm not going to voluntold somebody unless nobody speaks up. But does anybody have an idea, want to kind of talk first about what you're thinking?
I could.
Pooja?
So I even came up with a character name. So I
Ooh.
just feel like now is the time to talk about it, because otherwise I'm
Yes.
I'm gonna forget what it is. So my character name is Banu Takar, and Banu is fine.
Mhm.
And they came over. They're an immigrant from northern India in the last few years,
Okay.
escaping the British colonial rule. I want to say they came over like around the beginning of World War II,
Okay.
like when so many Indian battalions were like conscripted into the war.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically came to Seattle because in the magical world, there had been these rumors of this place, of what Nona was doing here.
Mm-hmm.
So they heard that and wanted to come over. And there's kind of an undercurrent there of like, basically, what they present to everyone is very much like live in the moment, the hedonistic lifestyle,
Yeah.
going to explore all of that,
Yeah.
especially coming from like the deprivations that had been in India and what they grew up with, and just like complete 180 from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But inside they will do what they need to do to survive.
Okay. All
That's
right.
kind of like the adapt or die
Yeah.
mentality.
Oh, Nona loves you if you're into the hedonism. I think I said this off screen, but for those who, I don't think I said it on camera, but Nona is essentially my version of Sally Bowles as a mage. So yeah, we're painting our fingernails green and we're going to drink and have a good time. So yeah, okay, so that's have you do you want to talk about magic yet, or do we want to kind of talk about other general character ideas and then talk about magic?
I feel like we should do characters first.
Okay.
And then see like where the vibe is, so we don't like think to overlap
Yeah.
each other too much.
Great. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, somebody else?
I can do
Okay.
mine, sure.
Courtney, go.
Okay, so I'm going back to my roots.
Okay.
Sweet home Chicago. So I was thinking that my character was an undercover Fed who infiltrated the Chicago outfit and helped put Al Capone away. So like worked in late 1920s, early 1930s. And then once Al Capone went under, new people took over. And eventually, for whatever reason, she had to leave. And I don't think the outfit really had influence in Seattle at that point. So that would probably be like a safe place to go. So I don't know what that story is or why she would have left. Like, was she caught? Did she leave her own safety? Did she just get bored and want to go do something else? So what I was looking through, like demeanor and nature, and I think I have kind of an interesting combo. Which is nature is like crusader, like I'm doing the right thing, gotta put away these bad guys, but you have to have a fake demeanor to do that. So I was thinking either like rogue or monster. So someone who's had to like do these evil things, like maybe participate in the Valentine's Day massacre. And then because I was thinking of using tarot as a tool possibly, I brought out my deck and I just happened to pull. So I pull like Knight of Swords and then Knight of Wands, and I'm like, oh, nature demeanor, and then like Ace of Cups. I'm like, maybe I got a pure heart or something.
Nice.
But I was like, yeah, okay, that kind of confirms it. That kind of two-faced something.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that play against, like your inner self versus what you present to the world. That's one of the things I love about the World of Darkness system is the nature and demeanor dynamic and the way it makes you think about your character and who they are publicly versus who they are internally, and and how those line up or don't line up. There's a lot of fun to be had there. So that's really cool. I like that. Okay.
Pretty much all I have right now.
Okay, cool. That's good. Yeah. Dion?
Yeah, I don't mind going.
Okay.
So I was thinking about a character who would have been from Mississippi Delta, right? Blues country. Growing up, son of a blues player and
Nice.
and sort of musician at his heart. Music is his heart and soul. But living in the Jim Crow South at the time would have gotten in some trouble. I'll come up with a more specific reason why later.
Okay.
But it's now on the run from the South and trying to get as far as possible.
Okay.
Therefore, ended up in Seattle. And through his sort of music playing, he would have caught the interest of...
Nona?
Yeah.
Hold on. Oliver Gordy.
Oh, Oliver Gordy. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Who would have
Sexy Oliver Gold.
pulled him
Yeah, right.
pulled him into part of the band as like a sometimes on,
okay.
sometimes off player, but definitely like buddy close to, took him in under his wing as a sort of.
Yeah.
Part and
Okay.
parcel.
Great. Yeah. Oh, awesome. So what Dion is referring to is I did send all of the players a little sort of intro document with some setting information a couple of weeks ago, and as well as some prominent NPCs that are going to be regularly featured to sort of help them connect, have ways to connect to the story. So Oliver Gordy is the band leader at the club where Nona's group meets at what's called the Mayflower Hotel in Seattle. So that's great. Awesome. Yeah. So and one thing just to talk about is, and I told the players about this in the intro document, we're not going to deal or dig into like the overt racism and sexism and homophobia and all the other bigotry that's super rampant in the United States in 1945 and since.
She said, "Fuck that."
Yeah. But anyway, as we all know, 1945 had segregation. Women couldn't own their homes. Queer people couldn't live openly. So all kinds of stuff like that. It can be a really rough world for people who are not straight, white, Christian males. And so I want the players to be able to play characters that they will resonate with and enjoy, that don't have to deal with all that bullshit. So, and as I explained to them, if they want to bring elements of that into the story, we can talk about that and how to do so in a way that feels empowering and enjoyable to character without having to relive anybody's trauma or play off of or capitalize on any trauma of the past. So that's something that we're going to talk about and we'll work with as we go through the story. And we can ignore all that as much as you as players want, and we can dive into it in ways that make you feel good and tell a great story if you want to. So, and we'll talk about those offline mostly, but we might give content warnings if we do decide to go that direction. But it's entirely in the players' hands to decide if they want to do that. So, so this is an alternative history. We do not have to be exact. So, cool. Okay. Yay. Oh, that's fun. Yay, musician. Very cool. Hey. Nick, what you got?
The character concept that I had was boiled down to cowboy gambler.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy travels around. He gets in card games, games of chance. He dresses eclectically like a Western cowboy, even though it's the 1940s.
Uh-huh.
That's sort of his style that he goes with, and that he's representing. I see him as probably having a nature of something like rogue, but his actual, demeanor of rogue, and his nature being actually benefactor.
Oh, okay.
So he presents this sort of devil may care, screw the man sort of thing. But when it comes down to it, he actually, he's the heart of gold.
Yeah,
He really wants to protect people and make sure that things are taken care of and like that. And I do have a name for this character as well.
Oh, okay.
His name is Alexander Basto. Basto.
Okay. Awesome.
Because of your characters, because of how sort of fancy is he sort of the type of person that wants to be called first and last name always? Use both names like a Tribe Called Quest.
I wasn't thinking from that way, but we'll see what develops.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll get like that.
Okay.
That name is based off of card puns, not puns, but the name of cards.
Oh.
In the background. So Alexander is the person. Alexander the Great is who the King of Clubs is based off of.
Oh. Okay.
And an Ace of Clubs is called a Basto in the Spanish tradition of cards. So I thought that those two together made a good name and tied into the type of character that I was going to play.
Okay.
Or that I was thinking of anyway.
Now I must research all card history.
I know, right?
I know, have some cards.
Yeah. I'm going to have so much fun on Wikipedia the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said Basto is the Ace of Clubs?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's a lot of fun. Okay, we're off to a great start, and I'm already having so many fun ideas. Yeah. Oh, this is good stuff. See, I knew this was going to be a blast with you guys. So, okay, so for those who are following along at home, World of Darkness has this mechanic called nature and demeanor. Your nature is who you are internally and at your core, and your demeanor is kind of how you present yourself to the world. These work very specifically with the willpower mechanic in Mage. So if you all see down near the bottom center, you have a willpower stat there, and you can spend willpower to get additional successes or additional dice on your rolls. So they can so you can spend willpower. So you're exerting your will to make it more likely that you do the thing you set out to do. Nature and demeanor are how you get your willpower back. So once per essentially like once per day or once per session or so, it's if you act in a way that really fuels your nature, you get to refill all of your willpower that you've spent. If you act in a way that satisfies your nature, you get 1 point back. So acting in your nature and demeanor that you choose is how you get it's how you refuel that will that drives much of what you do.
So I'm sorry, maybe I misheard that because I was reading something over here. You said if you fulfill your nature, you get all of your willpower back?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nature refreshes everything because that's your core.
Because that's the core of
yeah.
who you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And demeanor helps it's kind of like you're reminding yourself of why you do the things you do, why you play into this persona, why you present that to the world. So it kind of helps refuel you, but it's not nearly as satisfying as like I did the thing that defines me. Right.
Okay.
So that will be very important. Spending willpower can be a very useful tool. It's a really important resource for you to have. So, and then there are times when like if somebody's trying to use mind controlling magic against you or emotion controlling magic, you resist that by rolling your willpower. So or their target number might be your willpower stat. So having a high willpower means that you are really connected to yourself. You're really determined, and so we'll talk more about that as we get to that point in the character creation, because it starts with a certain amount based on other choices that you make, right? So, yeah, I'm glad you guys are thinking about nature and demeanor, because it is a really important part of this system, and to me, one of the most fun parts. Okay. Okay. So, one thing we can do, so we can start kind of talking about your basic attributes, or if you have thoughts about how you want to how your magic works, we can talk about that instead. Anybody have a thought? Do you want to kind of dive into making characters, or do you want to dive into like, here's how I change the world?
Let's do how we change the world.
Okay. All right. Okay. Great.
Anything to delay the dots.
Right. Delay the dots. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Yes.
Well, but
yeah.
this is also dots, so it's all dots. It's dots all the way down.
Right. Yeah. 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 Like a trill, the dots go all the way down. Yeah.
Love it.
Yes, I can tie Star Trek and Mage together. Okay, so let's go in reverse order. So Nick, how does Alexander Basto use magic? And one thing we want to talk about when we're talking about how you use magic in this game is what is your belief system about the world that allows you to perceive exercising your will on reality, right? So the concept behind magic use in Mage in World of Darkness is that you change reality by willing it to be so. So if you want to grow gills, you literally will yourself to grow gills, and
And have life sphere.
Yeah, right. Yes, yeah. You have to have the life sphere, so that's sort of fundamental to how you imagine magic in the system. It's not just about like learning spells or like reading glyphs or things like that. It's actually just taking your belief in reality and putting it out so strongly that reality conforms to your belief. And
I don't get to cast magic missile.
you absolutely can cast magic missile if you believe in your heart. That is really like the core tenet of magic use in Mage is if you believe in your heart, you can do it. Okay. So, but what we want to do is we want to think about how your character views the world. What are the things that you believe about reality that make it mutable. So maybe you see the world as it's all it's all part of entropic chaos, and like you're a chaos theorist, and you can change anything because nothing actually exists. Right? Maybe you believe that there is a higher power that grants you the strength to change reality because that higher power has invested you with that ability, and they control everything and they listen to you. Right? You might believe that there are spirits in everything around us, both animate, inanimate objects, and you change the world by speaking to those spirits, by interacting with them and getting them to change. So if you want a tree to drop all of its leaves, you talk to the tree and you explain to it that you need it to drop its leaves and make it so. Right. So that's the way magic works. So think about how your character believes in the very essence of reality, and what is it that you do to change that?
Such a big question.
Yeah, it is. So and we can delay this as well. Like you might say, look, I just want to be able to like throw lightning out of my fingers. Like that's cool, and that's what I want to do. How do I do that? We can talk about how you do that, and we can also, we can kind of change that stuff as we go. If we come up with something tonight and you realize like, I don't know if I really like that still, or I had this great idea in the shower yesterday and I totally want to change my character. I don't care about lightning anymore. I want to make flowers grow. Like that's cool. Like we can do that, right? So Nick, what is reality to you?
Or to Alexander?
Yes, to Alex. Well, yeah.
Reality to Alexander is
10 words or less, please. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
Webster's Dictionary defines reality as.
I expect 100 words or more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alexander sees life as a game. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, but the wheel keeps spinning, and everything is sort of cyclical. Like, I do think that he is, like, I was sort of trying to fit him into the various, like, factions and stuff, and while nothing exactly fit, I think he does believe in at least a form of reincarnation, because everything is connected, patterns repeat, things need to keep moving, and that's sort of an approach that he takes in his life as well. That everything is coincidental, and that sometimes you can put yourself in a position where you will go ahead and be on a winning streak, on a hot streak. But there is a sort of fatalism that the house always wins in the end.
Yeah.
And so that isn't something to be feared. That's just part of the natural order. So if you think of it in terms of like mortality, everyone is going to die. That's part of the thing, but it's how you play the game before you get to that point.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. Yeah.
And I know that in terms of spheres, and I know we're not quite there yet, I was really looking at entropy, but I also know that Courtney was very much looking at entropy.
I think
all
no,
three of us
I'm
were
very
really
flexible.
into the end.
Okay.
I wasn't.
No? All right. Dion wins.
So I was actually...
I'm very flexible in what I do. Like, my
Okay.
character's still very vague.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dion, you get to decide which one of them gets entropy.
Never mind. I want to.
So again,
Why did Dion run away and never come back?
Dion broke a pool cue, tossed it in the room, and said, "Figure it out."
yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Again, don't give me good
Right?
ideas.
yeah. And yeah, don't fuck with Pooja.
Oh, I won't.
Pooja with a broken pool cue could wreck you up. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So real quick, talk a little bit about spheres for the audience. So in Mage, you have 9 spheres of magic, and those are correspondence, entropy, forces, life, matter, mind, prime, spirit, and time. So it's sort of a cosmology that those 9 areas are where you have more or less control depending on what you study, how you study it, what you connect with, and we'll talk more about the setting in our first session. But Nona Redbird's club that she has put together is designed around having an icon of each sphere. So I asked the players to for their characters, there should be one sphere that they kind of represent most, and they might not be the most powerful in it, but they probably will be. But it's the sphere that they connect to. And so entropy is the patterns of the world, both the chaos and also the cycle of life and destruction, or creation and destruction, and also deals a lot with influencing fortune and luck. So it's a fun one. But yeah, okay. So reverse order is Dion. Back to you. Yeah.
All right. So being a musician and life experience, my character would have very much not have faith in other people, but would really connect with music in the way that the vibrations in music also sort of flow through the air and connect with other objects and everything around him, the world around him, and really just truly believes in his ability to use music to impact the world around him.
Okay.
And so I was thinking more matter.
Ooh, okay.
And the ability to sort of, he used music to connect with inanimate objects, to maybe even command or control or change them through the connections of sort of music and vibration, right?
Okay.
Believing that there's an instrument, a note, a tone, and I can use it to make something happen. I don't really believe in people anymore, but I know that I can make things happen in the world using this music.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, and that's an interesting dynamic of because I think a lot of people, the more obvious path is to go with, music can change the way people feel, but thinking of music as more of like physics in a lot of ways.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
sound waves.
It's
flowing through the air, so I can change the air. The vibration hits that tree, so I can change that tree.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Okay. Ooh, I love that. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if you looked at it, but forces also can tie into to a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously we're going to put points in a lot of spheres, but if you haven't seen it, just might be something to consider.
Yeah, you might want to be pretty heavy in both of them. Yeah. So, you generally you won't have points in every sphere. Most people have one or two that they just don't concentrate on at all. But usually you have one that's your main focus. It's called your affinity sphere, and then you have others that might be really useful to you or work really in conjunction or connection with how you use your magic, and those you'll probably want more in. But some of them you might not have any dots at all, and that's totally okay.
And I didn't say earlier, but nature, demeanor also have an idea.
Yeah. Okay.
So idea of nature being survivor. This idea, again, I don't really have faith in people, so I believe in my own need to survive. But then demeanor being a gallant, right? So I come off as this sort of flashy player, right? This sort of social bug. That's not who I really am. That's just the disguise.
That's right. Okay. That kind of keeps you maybe something to think about is just like is it to mask your cynicism or your trauma?
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't have to tell the story.
Yeah.
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 You just want to party with me.
Yeah.
So let's
yeah.
drink it up and not talk about it.
Right? Yeah. 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 And welcome to my college years. That's, yeah, that's
Well,
like,
Jason did just call us high grad students.
yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Mage discussions always sound like a party of very high grad students. Yeah, yeah, that is real.
I didn't
So,
prepare in that way, but yeah, that might have actually helped.
right? Yeah, yeah.
That'll be tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
all right,
By the
I'm gonna get
way,
this character.
Yeah, we're going to discuss random theories about the fundamental origins of the universe. So, and turn those into dots on a page. So, it's great. It's great. Yeah. Courtney, do you have some
All right,
thoughts?
I've been thinking, and I'm trying to come up with something. So my
Yeah.
thought I was thinking about, I feel like this character, I'm gonna name her Evelyn.
Okay.
I don't know what her last name will be. But you know how the world is not black and white, it is gray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think she views people's hearts as black and white, but there's a scale on where you fall on the scale.
Okay.
And I think she sees that certain people fall more on the evil scale, and she's like, no, I need to purge that evil from them and make them good.
Okay.
So then, I drew another tarot card and I got another fucking knight. And so I started thinking, I'm like, I have these 3 knights, multiple faces.
You're going somewhere.
Yeah, I'm on the cards to decide. But I don't necessarily need entropy. Like my first idea was like I would draw a random card and like whatever I draw will kind of affect things, but that might be more suitable to Nick.
Oh,
I also have playing cards and he can use them.
yeah.
But I'm wondering, like, do I want to maybe do something that's more like physical, more body, and maybe she uses magic to change herself to adapt to whatever the situation is.
Oh.
Like,
yeah.
so maybe it's a glamour, maybe it's like a physical trait, like, oh, I need to be super strong to do this, or I
Yeah.
need to be really fast to do that, like something that's changing herself rather than the world.
Yeah, she has to become what she needs to be to do the crusade that she's on.
Yes, which
Yeah.
makes sense with her demeanor being like monster or rogue. Like you have to pretend to be bad or have to act a certain way versus what you really are.
Yeah, okay.
So that's my first. I have no
Yeah.
idea like what sphere.
Well, I would
into.
say probably life or mind,
Okay.
or maybe heavily focus in both of them.
Mm-hmm.
So life, you can change, living creatures, including yourself.
Okay.
So like, as we said, grow gills. You can become super strong, and or you can make a tree sprout. So it's kind of dealing with all living matter,
Okay.
and regardless of whether it's like animate like an animal or a person, or if it's like sort of inanimate like plants and fungi or bacteria even. So it's kind of dealing with all of that. So that might so you can also like change your appearance. You can like increase your muscle mass, or you can just like make your bones so solid that you don't even need the muscles. So there's lots of ways you can play there. If you wanted to go more into the like reading people, or like being what they need you to be to get them to do what you want or what you need, that would be more mind.
Okay.
So it might be scanning surface thoughts and emotions. It might be influencing emotions. We generally probably want to stay away from puppeting,
But just give them a little push.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So influencing people, getting somebody to like confess to the crime they committed without them realizing that they were going to do that. Like, oh, all of a sudden I'm just telling you the absolute truth and I didn't want to,
Yeah. Or maybe if you look in the second drawer on the desk in the first room, you might find the document that has Al Capone's tax records. And,
right? Yeah. Maybe that's where they are. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's in the drawer.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, so you can have entropy. Do you
Okay.
want a deck of cards to play with?
I've
For your
got
magic?
deck of cards.
Well, let's compare who has the cooler deck. Anyway,
But I think that's
I love
hilarious.
that we both kind of had that.
you've drawn 3 of the knights out
I
of
know.
what, 4 cards, 5 cards you've drawn.
Oh yeah, 4.
Yeah.
That was cool. Black. Oh, yours will show up on screen way better. Oh, they're so old school. I love them.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Nice. Yeah. Very cool. And, okay, great. Pooja, what does Vanu think about the world?
Banu's idea about the world is that the only constant is change. Like, it literally is. Like, everything is constantly in a state of degradation and decay and, like, hurtling towards the abyss. In a lot of ways. Like, that, especially with their, like, what they had experienced is that amount of, like, okay, well, we see all the things from the past, right?
Yeah.
Like, the Taj Mahal, the monuments, the everything. It's like, but it is constantly being destroyed.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's their mentality. That, like, and that's where kind of the hedonism comes in as well. That it's you grab life by the reins because we are constantly hurtling towards the end.
Okay.
So yeah, that was kind of my.
It's like, yeah.
And then a lot of, like, that things transmute as we go through life, right? Like, everything goes through different stages. Coal, apply enough pressure, it becomes a diamond.
Yeah. Okay.
Heat enough gold, and it becomes, you know,
Yeah.
a piece of jewelry, or, you know, molten mass for someone's face. I don't know why my mind went right there.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be iron anyway, but, like, you know, somebody brought up Game of Thrones the other day. Like,
Oh my god, that scene. Oh, so good. Yeah, so it's there's so sphere wise, there's a few ways you could go with that. Entropy is definitely one of them. Time,
and that's what I had thought about.
Yeah.
But, like, it sounds like there's a lot of, like,
I think time could be really interesting. You know, being so keenly aware of past, present, and future and its impact on the world. You know, so you could have a lot of fun with that. Yeah, and then I mean, there was, like, you brought up, like, you know, changing matter and you know, and physical objects decaying and all that. So which might mean matter might be something that you want to also have and be able to affect. But yeah, I think time and entropy are probably the ones that would most represent kind of where you're thinking or where you're going to. Yeah.
sounds good. So I will
So-
focus then on time, it sounds like. And
Nah, you're gonna leave Nick with entropy.
well, it really sounds like I have other options,
Yes.
and there aren't as many other options for
Yeah.
Well, I could come up with
they
something
do,
else.
so.
I mean, I can make it work in other ways.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah, I
all
mean,
good.
And just because I'm not the icon for entropy doesn't mean I can't buy entropy as well
Right.
to make the effects I want.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's true for
So-
all of us. So
Yeah. So let me talk a little bit about how the spheres work in tandem to each other. So correspondence is basically it's space, or you know, it's the idea that everything occupies a space, and how you think about that can change the reality of where things are. So in the same way that, like, if you think about, like, space folding as a faster than light travel concept, right? The idea is that all space is just the same. It's all the same point. You just have to learn how to fold it in such a way that you just move from point A to point B without having to move, right? Instead of you moving from A to B, you bring A and B together, and then you pick which one you want to stay on. So it's also the idea that, you know, everything is moving through space. You know, there things literally can occupy the same space at the same time if you really want them to, because you're a mage and you can change reality, right? So it's in addition to that, correspondence kind of works in terms of the space that spells take up, right? So if you want to say you want to take a rock and you want to turn it into a chunk of gold, right? So you'd use matter to do that, because that's just a simple, you're taking one piece of matter and you're changing the nature of the matter, right? If you want to change a whole mountain, you need to add correspondence to that, because it needs to take up a large amount of space. Or if you want to change all the rocks in a park to gold, you have to add correspondence to that. So correspondence is one of those sort of fundamental ones that is it has to be brought in whenever you want to affect an area beyond sort of a single point or a single object. And so one of the things I do is I give everybody a dot in correspondence for free. So you can go ahead and add that if you'd like. And anybody who watched my Changeling game, you know that I give out some extra dots because I think they're really kind of stingy on these.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So another sort of fundamental one is time. So in the same way, correspondence deals with area of a spell, time is fundamental to deciding the length of a spell. So if you just use life to grow gills, then you just grow gills, and then they would just revert back. But if you add time to it, then you have the gills for however much time you decide they're going to take up, right? So anytime you're affecting time itself, including deciding how long a spell is going to last, you bring the time sphere into it, right? So and so everybody gets a dot in time for free as well. Yeah. And otherwise time is about dealing with past, present, future, and also the passage of time. You can use time to to see into the future. You can use time to revisit the past. If you use time and matter, you could touch an object and detect its history. Time and mind, you could look at somebody's memories or even change their memories, right? So if you have the mind sphere and you can read somebody's thoughts, but if you want to read thoughts that they had 3 years ago, you've got to add time into that spell to be able to do it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then the third fundamental one is prime. So prime is the essence of magic. So it's sort of it's sort of magic itself and all of the things around magic. So detecting sources of magic, detecting ley lines, and being able to sense when something has magical properties. That's all using prime, and you do have to, and we'll talk about this later, but you do have to refill occasionally your quintessence, which is the amount of magical energy you can store inside yourself, and we'll go over that later. But in order to really access that and understand how to do it, you need a dot in prime, and so everybody gets a free dot in prime. So the spheres all have 5 dots.
Was that a prime free dot livery?
Wow.
Ow.
Do you want me to stab him with this pencil?
Yes, please.
Ow.
Please.
Also, let me take a drink. Can I just say,
Yeah.
You're doing a great job of making quantum physics sound simple.
Yes. I love that. That's a high compliment. Thank you. It's really it's something I love about this game. It's why I love this game because it can be real sticky, and like you all saw the 700-page book, it's a whole lot of mess for not a whole lot of payoff. However, the fundamental concepts behind this game are so fucking cool, and I love the way it just looks at magic. So, I can talk about this quite a lot actually. Okay, so those are the 3 that you get for free. So all of the spheres have 5 levels in them, and the easiest way to think about them is the first level is awareness, the second level is manipulation, the third level is control, and the fourth level is creation, and the 5th level is mastery. Okay, so awareness, manipulation, control, creation, mastery. So let's say having a dot in life, in the life sphere, that means you can do spells that like sense like somebody's heartbeat, or you can tell if they've got like where their bone is broken, or you might be able to sense like if they have a cold, or like know if somebody's pregnant, like all kinds of things like that, where you can just be aware of life. You can sort of extend your senses and know exactly how many trees are in the park, or how many birds are flying in that formation. So that's your awareness. So that's 1 dot. A second dot in the life sphere is manipulation. So you can start to make subtle changes in life. So in life things. So bone. Jason, stop distracting me. Jason in the chat. Okay, so damn it. So manipulation. So you can start to like learn how to like make your bones stronger, or make all your puffiness go away. Like if you've got 2 dots in life, you woke up like this, and it's great, right? So but you can't really like you can't make something come to life. You can't change the very nature of something. So you might be able to like manipulate a kiwi's wings to the point that it can start flying, but you can't take a cat and give it wings to fly, right? So
Only Red Bull can do that.
Right. Yes, right. So the third.
So feed your cats Red Bull, everyone.
Right. Yes. Yeah. It's a great plan.
We already have zoomies.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So the third level is control, and this is when you can start. You can actually start to make larger changes to something. So you could probably grow wings on a cat, or at that point. But you can't create a cat, but you can grow wings on a cat. And then also at that level, you can start manipulating other people. So you can start. You can not only grow gills on yourself, but now you can make all of your party members grow gills as well. Right? Please ask for consent before giving your party gills.
You guys want gills?
Yes.
You guys want gills? I got
Done.
gills. Yeah. And then the 4th level is creation. So so with 4 dots in life, you can actually make a cat. Now here's the problem: the cat has no mind. So it's a cat. So it's a ginger cat.
Good, I know how those work.
Right? Yeah. So you can make a cat, but the cat won't be able to do anything. It'll sit there. It'll exist. Its heart might beat. Its lungs will breathe, but it can't perceive anything. It can't interact with anything, because it has no mind. So you have to bring the mind sphere in to create a mind for it. That being said, if you have like some other brain that you can put into the cat, then you can give the cat that brain and it's got a mind.
Look,
So
maybe I just want a cat to sit on my lap, so I don't think it needs a brain.
no, it
Just-
really doesn't. Yeah, cats
lap,
without brains are
warm.
totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that's yeah.
Just clarifying.
Yeah.
So it can't perceive. Oh, you said interact. Never mind.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, say you made a horse.
Uh-huh.
You couldn't ride it because it wouldn't.
Right, it wouldn't be able to
exists.
really go anywhere.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because
You
it
need the
can't really process the fact that it's how its legs work. It can't really process like the visual information that it's getting.
There we
So it'd be kind of like a living sculpture. It would be real live matter, and you could make it identical biologically to a horse, but it's not going to be able to do anything.
There we go.
So
It's like an illusion almost.
yeah, it's kind of, yeah. So so you have to bring other spheres in order to make those things happen. So like, so at four dots of life, you could create a human body, but it's not going to be able to do anything except lay there and breathe and, pump blood.
Exist.
But you can then, if you have mind of sufficient level, or you can either put a new mind in it or create a mind for it, and that mind could then happen. But at that point, it doesn't have a soul or a spirit, so you would have to have spirit of sufficient level to create a spirit for it. So if you've got life, mind, and spirit of four dots, you could literally create a human being.
You can make a
So-
friend.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So so it's kind of, so that's kind of how they work and stack on each other. And
So that seems like a lot for a single player. Could multiple players combine their magic to cast, or
Yes.
characters rather, combine
Yes.
their magic to do that?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's one of the strengths of being in a group of mages is that you can pool your resources and you all work on a spell together. One of you has mind force, so you're going to create the mind. One of you has life force, so you're going to create the body, and the other one has spirit force, so you're going to create a spirit for it. And between the three of you, you put all that together, and you've made a fourth person. So.
Captain.
Yeah, right?
Meat shield.
No, yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Oh, meat shield. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It is literally Captain Planet, though. Yeah, that's how they do it. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
Oh my
watch
God.
Captain
Yeah.
Planet as a
We need
mage,
heart.
game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're missing a
Heart.
heart here.
Yeah. Heart. Yeah. Heart is the spirit, I guess.
Heart is
Yeah.
spirit, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the heart's the most important part. So we're gonna
As
play.
opposed to just the really angry American.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of how they work, right? The more spheres you have, or the more dots you have in a sphere, the more you can do with it. But you have to have at least one dot to be able to sort of be aware of it and to incorporate it into your own stuff. So you don't have to be able to manipulate time to make a spell last over a course of time, but you do have to be aware of how time works and build that into the spell. Yeah.
What's the difference between creation and mastery?
So mastery is basically at that point you have such mastery over the sphere that you can basically substitute for other spheres. So at level 5, you can create a human body with 5 dots in life, and you can basically overcome the fact that you might not have the 4th dot in mind, and be able to, like, you've got like, you understand the life so well that you can actually create a mind that does exactly what a biological mind does. So yeah, so it's kind of the way I kind of simplify it is basically if you've got a 5 in a sphere, you can do without you can do like one level higher of another sphere that you need in order to do it. So in order to make it work. So it's a big deal. I mean, at 5 dots in a sphere, you essentially have almost godlike powers. So so none of us will have 5 in a sphere. You know, so we're kind of capping out at 4. It is possible during the course of the story you might develop a 5th dot in a sphere, particularly the sphere that you're going to be the icon of. So you might get there depending on how our story goes and you know and the events that happen. But it's very rare for somebody to have 5 dots in a sphere.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But yeah, it's essentially that you know that one thing so well, you can use it to compensate for other things that you don't know as well. So yeah, that helps. Okay. So the others are entropy, which is you know is fortune and also chaos and decay. You know, so making something like making yourself lucky uses entropy. Make it like cursing somebody else uses entropy. If you want to curse someone else and have it happen like it's gonna start like tomorrow, then you need time worked into your entropy spell, right? Forces is energy, you know, and what we think of mostly like this is mostly like the elements. Like if you want to do elemental magic, you know, cold, you know, fire, electricity, all that stuff. But you don't have to pick an element. You might have an element that you identify with and you really like favor, but you don't have to. So if you've got 4 dots in forces, you can create a bonfire. You can also create an ice storm. You can also create you know a bolt of electricity. Like so, if you know forces, you know all of the forces. Right?
And weirder stuff was what I thought was really cool, like you know, X-rays or other electromagnetic spectrum on there. Like
That's cool.
that's pretty neat in terms of what you can do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can you with forces, you can basically even with just 1 dot in forces, you can basically perceive the electromagnetic spectrum. So you can just perceive infrared or ultraviolet light just with 1 dot in forces. You can also have life of you'd need 2 or 3 dots in life to change your eyes to be able to detect infrared too. So that's another way to do it. You might you could also technically you could use matter to create lenses that allow you to see the electromagnetic spectrum. So there's a lot of different ways you can do all kinds of things, and that's one of the fun parts of this. It can be really challenging because in a lot of games about using magic, you got a list of spells and like, these are the things I can do. And with this, it's really like you can do whatever you want to do as long as you have the proper spheres to make in the proper levels of the spheres to make that happen. But if you can think of a way around something using a different sphere, then you can do it. So it's really fun to just sort of let your imagination run wild about how you you know, and this is why it's so important to think about how your character perceives reality, because that helps you think about what you're going to do. So like Evelyn, for example, you know, maybe she needs to draw one of the tarot cards in order to connect to that part of her that allows her to access entropy and into so she needs that randomizer to open up her mind to being able to change her appearance. So you know,
I like that.
Yeah,
Because sometimes, like, one of the things I have the most difficulty with as a player is just imagination and creativity and stuff that's out there. And I know that like Mage and Exalted are always very like, be wacky, be out there. So yeah, that's a good idea that'll just like help me be more creative.
Yeah. So feel free to do those. Like you were talking about, Dion, with like sound waves, being able to manipulate matter. Like everything's a vibration. So if you can change the vibration, you can change the matter.
Right.
You know.
Almost like you're doing a vibe check.
Welcome to the table.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're just gonna randomly look over at you and go vibe check.
Also, one of my character's powers on Pinnacle.
Oh, is it? Oh, nice. Yeah. So there's so basically that's kind of how the magic works. If there's a thing you want to do, you don't have to figure out the mechanics of it. Tell me what you're trying to do, and I will tell you like what spheres you need, and for the most part, I mean, we'll get into the mechanics of it later, but the really important thing is the thing that I want to know for the story is, what does your character believe is happening right now, and what is it they believe about the world, and what is it that they are changing about the reality to accomplish what they want to do. Right. And I think it's one of the things that I do, sort of a home rule, is I give you chances to do something that's outside of your scope. So like if you only have 3 dots in life, but you actually need to like create a physical body, like, you know, you might be able to try it. It's going to be really dangerous. Right. And there could be really bad consequences if you fail, but I'm going to give you a chance to try it. And if you succeed wildly and it like really transforms the way your character thinks about the world, like, oh my God, I didn't even know I could do this. Sometimes I'll like reward you with the new dot, as a sort of like, oh my God, you thought outside the box. You did something that your character didn't know they could do. That's a fun growth moment. And you know, so that's I give lots of dots in Mage, or in all the World of Darkness games, because really they're designed for super long-term campaigns, and the XP comes real slow, and it's real expensive to buy things up, and I'm just like, that's not fun, especially like if you don't have like an ongoing game for 4 or 5 years. So I want you to grow, and I want your characters to experience new things and stretch their imaginations. And so I try to reward those with like, hey, you learned something new. And sometimes it might be like a mundane dot, like, okay, well, you didn't do like you didn't get a new dot in your sphere, but you understand medicine now. Right. So, or like you have a new understanding of like science or you know, or athletics, because you did this thing that stretched your paradigm. So
Cool.
Okay, so let's kind of, you guys ready to, you think you can handle character sheets?
Yeah.
Can we do it?
We can
Okay.
do it.
We
We
can do
have
it.
the power.
We can do hard things.
Okay, yeah, you can do hard things. See, that's the way you mage.
I don't know. I might need some snacks.
You can have stacks too.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
can make some.
Oh my gosh, you can.
Yeah.
If I have life,
Can
then
I
I
put a
can
dot
just
in
make an
snacks?
apple.
Yes,
Okay.
dot
I
in
think that goes
snacks.
to life.
Although, if any of you do a dot in snacks, that means you have to bring snacks to every session. So, yeah. So think carefully. But I can be bribed with food. Okay.
Oh, me too.
So we want to talk about the top. If anybody, by the way, anybody who's watching, if you want to follow along, you can find Mage character sheets online pretty easily. I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Gon's character sheets. It is a thorough and beautiful repository of all things World of Darkness character sheets. And it has some other things too, but mostly World of Darkness. And And most of them have these great like form-fillable electronic versions. They have a lot of different types. You can get a 4-page version of your character sheet instead of just the 1 page. But anyway, Mr. Gons, I've been using them for decades, and it's great website. So you should all check it out. And that's not sponsored. We don't have sponsors here on Happy Jacks. It's just something I like. But at the top of the sheet, you have name, player, and chronicle in the first column. The name is your character name. Player is you. And the chronicle is Trinity's Wake. So the second 2 should be fairly easy. And actually, this is weird, but 3 of the 4 of you already have names for your characters. That's usually that usually doesn't
have a
come
first
until
name.
session 3.
I have one too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? What do you
Yeah.
got?
I'm leaning
Yeah.
Silver.
Silver. Ooh.
Yeah.
Mr. Silver.
Yeah. Yeah, is it Mr. Silver? Is it
Just
no,
Silver.
just Silver.
Just
Yeah,
Silver.
Nice. Oh, I like that.
Definitely the
Okay.
musician name.
Uh-huh. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe other people know his real name. Maybe they don't.
Maybe they
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah. But all you need to know is Silver.
That's all you need
Yes.
to know.
He's shiny. Okay, great. So we got Vanu, Evelyn,
Banu. Bhanu.
Bhanu. Okay.
I definitely
missed
wrote that down wrong
Yeah.
as well.
It's cool. I just had to really think about how to spell it, and I have it written down in front of me.
Bhanu. Bhanu. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, so nature, demeanor, and essence are in the second column. So I think most of you kind of had an idea about your nature, demeanor, we can talk about those in more detail if you want, but that's something we can also talk about offline, before we start. The main thing that I want you to do is if you've got a nature and demeanor already, make sure you check the part where it says, you regain willpower when. Right, so that'll tell you what it does mechanically, because some of them are really weird, or they don't really quite match the way you might think they do. I'm trying to think of some of the specific ones, but like monster is not about just like doing awful things, right? That's not actually it. It sounds terrible, but it's not necessarily. So, but check where it says those. If you don't have a nature and demeanor that you're settled on yet, that's fine. You'll have some time to think about that before we start playing, or maybe you'll after we finish character creation, you'll kind of get a better idea of where you want to be. So essence is something we're not going to deal with a whole lot unless one of you is like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing about this game, and in which case I'm happy to bring it in. But there are 4 types of essence. There's questing,
Dynamic.
yeah, you got them. Yeah.
Yeah, it was on that page just a second
great.
ago. Let me go back.
Questing, dynamic, static, and zip. Trying to remember.
Nick, come on, Nick.
Okay, pattern.
Pattern, yeah, okay. So
Oh, I'm sorry, primordial.
primordial, yeah.
Pattern was what I was calling static.
Yeah. So as with all things White Wolf, there are 3,000 different mechanics in this game. They are scattered throughout, muddled in paragraphs after paragraphs of lore. But essence is basically it's sort of a it has to do with your worldview and how your magic shows up to other people. So if you have a questing essence, you're typically somebody who's always seeking new experiences. You're adventurous. Your magic sort of has that sense of adventure and curiosity tinged in everything you do. So somebody might detect the magic that you've done and go and understand like, oh, this is a questing person. So it's something that I think it can be really interesting as flavor. I don't find it very interesting as a mechanic, so I don't generally use it. But I think it's good for character thought and character development to read into those and kind of go, oh, I think I would be this. And if any of you are really interested and excited about it, that's cool. Let's talk about it, and I'll find ways to bring it in for you. So it's not like something I hate. I just like it's just I don't find it as useful, so I don't generally play with it. So affiliation, that's your group. So you are the Mayflower Club. And the full name, for those following along at home, is the Mayflower Club for the Advancement of Epistemological, Semiological, and Ontological Propensity.
Stop.
Yeah. I worked really hard on that. So,
It's glorious.
right? Thank you. It's like, this is a cool name. But everybody just calls it the Mayflower Club. So sect is if you chose one of the traditions, or if you came up through one of the technocracy orders, and you don't have to put anything here. As I mentioned in the intro document, you don't have to be one of the traditions. There's not going to be any kind of penalty or backlash of any sort mechanically for not being in the traditions. And specifically with your group, with the Mayflower Club, even if you are from one of the traditions, you're kind of a rebel within that. You're going to be kind of a rebel within that tradition. If you came up through the technocracy, you can choose one of the technocratic orders. At this point, you will have left that order, and they will not be happy about that. Yeah.
I didn't realize that was an option, so now I gotta look.
Oh yeah, and I kind of didn't really say that specifically because I didn't want people to like get into the technocracy orders and go like, oh my god, this is awesome, I want to play in this group. So like with World of Darkness, like there's in Vampire, there's the Camarilla and the Sabbat. And there's others, yeah. So World of Darkness,
Only the two, of course.
yeah, right, yeah. World of Darkness tends to put in two factions, and they have their sort of base faction, which is the good guys, but they're always complicated. And then you have the other faction, which is the bad guys, who are usually actually worse guys than you even expect. It's kind of like you have the anti-heroes, and then you have the actual villains. They don't really have a lot of like, here's happy fun people. That's why you play Changeling. But anyway, so if you want to look at the technocratic orders and you're like, oh, I can see how my character would have been part of that and now has left, right? That's okay. But I don't want you to be so concerned with trying to pick one of the existing sects that you feel limited. So by the nature of this setting, your character will have broken away either effectively and philosophically, or completely and totally from whatever sect you were in. So
quick clarifying question. One of the weird things about them is that they have different spheres. They only have 5 spheres.
Yeah.
So if you did want to play someone who came from that, we would still use the classic tradition spheres, even though you would have been trained differently.
In the technocratic order,
right?
So basically, they call them different names, but it's still the same 9 spheres.
Okay.
I think I can't remember any of them off the top of my head, but like the
well, I remember like data is the correspondence.
Yes, yeah, correspondence for the traditions is data for the technocracy. So, but it's essentially the same thing, and data in the technocracy sort of reveals to you what their collective paradigm about correspondence is. Right, so space is just data; it's just information, and so that could be an interesting way for you to have come up and learned magic. But at some point when you joined, at least, sometime before you joined the Mayflower Club, or as you join the Mayflower Club, you will have recognized that whatever technocratic order you came up through is not the place to be, and not where you philosophically want to be. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, did any of you have a sect that you were really interested in, or you want to kind of freeform? Yeah. No. Okay.
No.
So, and initially I conceived of Nona as part of the cult of ecstasy, which is why she loved the hedonism that Banu has, like, yeah, let's have a party about it. And so, but
Let's bring back the 20s.
Right?
Here, I can do that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, so that's that kind of was her upbringing. That's how she learned magic. But at some point she realized, like, I don't really believe this is the way that everybody should be going, or I see more value in breaking away from the traditions than there is in keeping the traditions. So and so that's kind of where she became ready to fill in this gap in the middle and say, actually, we all need to be allowing people free will and free exploration, and not trying to control what either side is doing. And she saw the difficulties that would come from the Ascension War and those conflicts, and it was like, let's put together some people to help us check out of that. Sect is optional. Don't worry about it. Concept is just for your own personal edification. It's like Nick said, cowboy gambler, like that could be your concept, or mob boss, or jazz musician. Hedonist. Or something like that,
One of the examples in the book was, I think, like ass-kicking street kid.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. So it's just a way for you to kind of think, like, what's that description that's like my most important components for the character to
Your elevator pitch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got 2 to 3 words to sum up this character. How are you going to do that? So, but it really doesn't come into play except for you. So they put it up here because you can just kind of like think about your concept and then start going through all this other stuff. Okay, so next on the list is the attributes. So you have 3 columns there. You have physical, social, and mental. Physical is strength, dexterity, and stamina. Social is charisma, manipulation, and appearance. And mental is perception, intelligence, and wits. So most of those are fairly self-explanatory. Strength and dexterity are things that you're generally going to use for like attacks and fighting, as well as physical acts. Stamina is for like holding your breath, but it's also how you can soak damage. And there are certain types of damage that you can't soak. Like, if somebody shoots you, it doesn't matter if you've got like really good breath control. Like, it's gonna.
I ran a marathon.
Right?
I can resist a bullet.
Right? Yeah. Or as Ron White says, it ain't that the wind is blowing; it's what the wind is blowing. So strength and dexterity and stamina, those are your physical qualities. Social is charisma, manipulation, and appearance. So charisma is just how likable you are. It's just that magnetic charisma. So like Silver, being the blues or jazz musician, probably has like a pretty high charisma. Like people just like him, and it doesn't mean that like he's actually a likable person. He might be like an asshole, but everybody actually doesn't realize that and loves him. Or he might
stop giving away my character.
Sorry. I ruined the twist. But he might also be just like just a genuinely wonderful person, right? So, like Loki is a great character. Like high charisma, not a nice person, but just magnetic. You gotta want to be around him. And like Kamala Khan is another like. She's just delightful. Like, how can you not just want to hug her and hang out with her? Like,
She
please.
is a genuinely wonderful person.
Yeah.
I don't want any
Yeah.
Miss Marvel slander.
No, there will be no
No.
Miss Marvel slander. Yeah, it's fucking awesome. Oh my god. Yeah, I use a lot of Marvel references. Yeah, Marvel, Star Wars, and Star Trek. Those are my nerd touchstones for the most part. So, Marvel has actually become the thing that more people know about than Star Trek even. So, but anyway, but I can list long strings of characters who fit charisma. But a low charisma character is somebody that people just don't like. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. People just like are weird or awkward or uncomfortable around them. Maybe because they're weird and awkward and uncomfortable. Maybe it's because they're just quiet and people think they're weird. But it's charisma often comes into play when you're trying to convince somebody to do something that you genuinely want them to do, and that they might want to do too. Manipulation is when you're trying to get somebody to do something through underhanded means, basically, but not even necessarily underhanded, but manipulation, if your manipulation is high, it might be because you're a really good liar. It might be because you're really effective gaslighting people. It might be because you're just really good at debate, and you just have a way of talking to people that they're like, oh yeah, you're totally right about that. And so that's the nuance between charisma and manipulation. So, appearance is just how you look. So, like, are you somebody pleasing to the eye or not? And so, appearance, you might roll appearance for like to see if somebody's if somebody might be wanting to flirt with you, or you might like if you're trying to like size somebody up. You might examine their appearance level and like how but it's also like it's basically how hot you are. So
How many abs you have?
how many abs you have? Yes, yeah, right, yeah.
Oh, we didn't have that conversation.
Oh no! So you take
haven't
your
had it
5 dots,
yet.
multiply your dots by 2, and that's how many abs you have.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, but
I have life domain. I can just create abs.
Literal abs of steel.
exactly,
I
yeah,
am 100%
right?
abs.
Yeah, 100% abs. That would be
Oops, all
weird.
abs.
Yeah. I mean, I love abs, but I don't know about 100%. So, yeah.
Walking,
You're telling me.
Right?
talking,
Yeah.
abs.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, I'd touch it. I'd still try.
Would you play it like a xylophone though?
Right. Yeah, right. I probably would. 'Cause I'm weird. I have a fetish. I don't know. Okay. So the third column is mental. So this is perception, intelligence, and wits. Perception is your is your awareness, or your ability to detect things around you. Intelligence is your raw processing power, and wits is your is kind of your speed of thinking, right? So so one way you can think about these is like each one of these has sort of like a power. One of the stats is kind of your power, so like your strength, your appearance, and your your intelligence. So those are kind of like those are your power source. And then each one of them has a finesse. So like dexterity, manipulation, and wits is like how you use that to get what you want. And then the other one is sort of your resistance, right? So your stamina, your charisma, and your perception is kind of, or wait, no, sorry. Anyway. Now I'm mixing them up. Anyway, but it's kind of like, it's sort of a triangle of like your power, your resistance, and your finesse, for each of those groups. So the way this works is you get 3 numbers, and that's the number of dots you get to put in each column. So I give more than what's normal. So the ones I do. So what I give you is
8, 6, and 3 is
yes,
what was in the
thank you.
doc.
Yes, 8, 6, and 3. So like you might pick physical if your character is primarily a physical person, and you're going to do lots of fighting and acrobatics and stuff like that. Then you want to pick physical for your 8 and put 8 dots in there. So the first dot you'll notice in each of these is already filled in. So the first dot is free, so that's 8 in addition to the 3 that are already there. So then you want to pick your middle calling or group, and that's where you'll put 6, and then your weakest column, that's where you'll put 3. So you might have like say you pick mental for your 3 dots, right? So you might do a 2 dots in perception, which makes you kind of above average. So 2 is sort of the average human, right? So you're more perceptive than average. And then like you got like an average intelligence, so you'd put a dot there. But your wits, you wouldn't have another dot for. So it's just you see things, you understand things, but you're not real quick on picking up what's going on. So does that make sense, people?
Mm-hmm.
So so if you want to kind of fill those in,
Quick
yeah.
question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is this also like the spheres where we aren't filling them all the way up to 5? Is this?
Yeah. You probably wouldn't have 5 in all of them. Most of the things on here you'll cap out at 4. Would kind of be your max.
Just making sure.
Yeah. So you could have a 5. Like silver might have a 5 in charisma. It might be something there.
Oh, I'm not trying to push it. I was just asking.
Yeah.
No.
It,
Okay. 4 cap is fine by me.
yeah.
Can we talk about as a group, like, who wants to lean into what, just to make sure that we have
Yeah.
balance? Because I feel like Evelyn could either go heavy physical or heavy mental,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know what everyone else has planned. So, what?
Just lean back a little.
Hey.
Sorry. I need to be so people can hear me.
There you go.
What kind of traits do other people want to lean into? Because I see like Evelyn could either be a tank or she can be like mental, intelligence kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm flexible, so I kind of want to see what other people were thinking for their characters.
Yeah.
And where they want to go.
Yeah. And by the way, we don't have to have party balance, but absolutely can talk about party balance. I always find that really fun. And I'm one of those people that I like to see what everybody else is doing with their characters and then fill in the gaps.
Me too.
So, yeah. So I totally understand that. But don't feel like you have to make a decision based on party balance. But yeah, I think that's a good conversation to have. Does anybody have kind of what column their numbers are going
Sure.
in yet?
I think so.
I was putting 8 in mental,
Mm-hmm.
my 6 in physical, because I wanted to have him to have a high dexterity. That made sense for the character. And then 3 in my social. But I also had one other question. Are there free points or other points we can use to increase some of these? Because I'd like to get his manipulation higher than I have it.
Yes. Yeah, there will be. Yeah,
Okay.
there's some freebie points at the end where you can buy up a few.
Great.
They're pretty expensive for attributes. So you use an attribute in almost every role. So like at most, so basically the sneak preview is basically for attributes, at most you're going to be able to get 2 additional dots probably, and that's if you don't put put any points anywhere else.
Right.
So you don't want to
You don't want to depend on it.
don't count on it too much, but if you just need like 1 or 2 dots more, yeah, you can make that work.
Okay.
You'll have a chance to do that. So yeah. So mostly mental and social as your weakest.
Yeah.
I was going mostly social, 6 in mental, and then 3 in physical.
Okay. All right.
That's the kind of layout I was looking at as well.
Which is the same. So most in social and least in physical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, well then maybe I'll go most in physical, and then mental, and then social.
Okay.
Be a triangle of
balance.
tanking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like things are kind of leading you towards more like physicality.
Yeah, like an enforcer. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's really interesting.
You did draw 3 knights.
Right?
I did. Right?
Yeah.
But the first one was the Knight of Swords, which is the most like violent, aggressive, like forceful one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of makes sense.
So she's gonna be a badass.
I like that.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah.
God.
Punch your
Right? Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
No. Turn my fists into iron and then punch.
There you
There we
go.
go.
Yeah, love
I
it.
can literally make myself bulletproof if I want. Just turn my body.
Right? Yeah.
I can't move, but I'm.
All right, stand in this door.
Okay.
Brace against with your
Look,
hands.
I've done that in LARP.
But
My body is stone.
Yeah.
if you put enough points in correspondence, you don't have to move. So like it's just I'm gonna stand here with my iron fist and I'm just going to like make you happen to be in the same
Move
spot.
everything else around the fist.
Yeah. I'm not moving, you're moving. Bam.
Stop
I'm
hitting
just gonna-
yourself.
I'm
Stop
just,
it, right? I was just gonna say that. Stop
I'm just
hitting
gonna
yourself.
stand
Stop
here with my
hitting
iron fist, and if you walk into it, that's your fault.
So the whole like he ran into my knife 10 times is quite literal.
Right? Yeah.
It was all
Actually
magic.
did that.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, he had it coming. So, you know.
Yes.
Get on
He
way off
only
the
had himself to blame.
Okay. All right. So let me know if you need some more time on there. But otherwise, we'll move on to abilities. And this is where it can take a lot more time to sort of to figure all these out. But this is also where you can really like. You know, we can change these later if you want to. And one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some extra points based on how you answer Decima questions. So yeah, so there'll be a few things where like I like to do it during Decima rather than just say freebie points. And I always did this before Decima, but Decima makes it so much easier. But like it's, you know, I could just say like, oh, you get 3 extra points to put in here. But to me, it's a lot more fun to like, as we talk about how your characters interact with each other and how in your connections, like we learn more about who you are as a group. And sometimes you'll discover things about your character that you weren't intending initially. And it's, you know, and I love to just be like, oh, you know what? That's really interesting. You got an extra point in martial arts because of that. Or, you know, or you got an extra point in leadership. So I like to do that. So there'll probably be 3 or 4 points coming additionally for that. But I also like it to be a surprise. I don't like you to plan on it because sometimes it might end up being in something that you probably will never use. But yeah.
Flavor.
Yeah. It's random. I like randomness. So, okay. So in the same way, you've got 3 columns. You've got talents, skills, and knowledges. So talents are things that are innate to you. They're generally not things that you have to learn, but they might be things that you have to train. But some of them, you know, these are the kinds of things that might come naturally to you. So it's like alertness, art, athletics, awareness, brawl, empathy, expression, intimidation, leadership, streetwise, and subterfuge. Skills, those are things that you have to develop and practice through learning of some sort, usually through experiential learning. So you have crafts, drive, etiquette, firearms, martial arts, meditation, melee, research, stealth, survival, and technology. And then knowledges are academic things that you learn from studying and reading, etc. academics, computer, cosmology, enigmas, esoterica, investigation, law, medicine, occult, politics, and science. Now, if you're reading those lists, you're probably thinking, what the fuck is the difference between blank and blank? Because some of them are really a little, they get kind of into the weeds, but it's part of the World of Darkness way to have, like you can tell a lot about a World of Darkness game by what skills are listed. So, or what abilities are listed. So the first one that I think is often really confusing to people is in talents. It's alertness and awareness. So alertness is your ability to notice the physical world around you. Awareness is your ability to notice the supernatural around you. So somebody might be like really kind of oblivious, to the world around them. They're always in their head. They're always thinking, and not really looking where they're going, accidentally walk into traffic, that kind of stuff, and might have a low alertness. But if there's a ghost in the room, they're like, whoop, and they zoom in on it. So that would be a high awareness, right?
So they're like ginger cat once again.
Yes, ginger cat. Yeah.
I'm changing my concept.
Right?
Ginger cat.
Right? Yeah. Everybody's gonna be ginger cats. Like, it's a man. I mean,
tempt us.
yeah,
I mean,
right. Yeah. And
this would be.
right. I'm sure Rose.
Gato
yeah.
McCavity.
Rose is in the
Nico.
chat, so I'm sure Rose knows a game where you just play cats. Yeah.
I mean, we
Rose
could
had
play
to go,
9 Lives
but
to
yes.
Valhalla.
Oh, right.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, 9 Lives to Valhalla. One day I will play that. Going through a couple of others of these, brawl is hand-to-hand combat, not using any kind of weapon. Martial arts is different in that it might be hand-to-hand combat, might also be without a weapon, but it's a trained form basically. So martial arts would include boxing or but also like what we typically think of martial arts like jiu-jitsu, kung fu, etc. But brawl is just
Back alley,
yeah.
bare knuckle.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm just kicking shit.
I mean, it could,
yeah.
I'm just saying, bar stools and broken beer bottles count as weapons.
Yeah, right. They do. Okay, so
Broken pool cues.
that's it. You're all gonna start with a broken pool cue, and we'll just see what happens. Empathy is your ability to. It actually is what it sounds like. It's your ability to tune into other people's emotions, recognize them, and understand them. And expression is your ability to. It's expressing yourself in a way of trying to explain to somebody what you think or what you believe, or if you're trying to explain to a policeman why there's suddenly a boatload of piñatas dropped in the middle of the street, right? Drugs. Depending, you might roll expression to explain that in a way that they're like, okay, I guess that's fine then. Whereas failing expression means you don't get your point across. Intimidation, leadership is pretty self-explanatory. Leadership is when you're leadership and expression can be similar, but leadership is when you're trying to express yourself in such a way that it inspires others to do a certain thing or commands others to do a certain thing. So if you're trying to get that cop to just turn around, walk away, and forget he ever saw anything, that might be leadership. Okay?
That sounds like mine to me.
Yeah, that's the mind sphere for sure.
Bribery.
Yeah, or bribery. Streetwise, and so streetwise is just the underground, the underworld, kind of knowing where to get the best hookups, where to find the best drugs, all of that kind of stuff. Subterfuge is lying. So that's if you're and it can really depend. So if you're trying to convince other people to do something through falsehoods, you might use subterfuge instead of leadership, right? But we all know plenty of people who lie out there as a way to be leaders. So you can, leadership does not require you to be truthful, right? But if you're just trying to sell somebody an out and out lie, subterfuge might be the more appropriate thing. But if you're trying to sell them a lie to get them to follow you and do whatever you tell them, that would be leadership instead, most likely. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay. Crafts. Under crafts, you'll add what your specific craft is. So this could be like woodworking. It could be, model building. It could be auto repair. It could be a specific, like a specific trade. Like sewing or plumbing as well. Drive. So drive is one of those that if all you do is just drive a car to like normal functions of a car, no problem. You don't need dots and drive to do that. So this is more like stunt driving. So a dotted drive is more to a dotted drive is more to like be able to do a hairpin turn or some really precise controlled driving. A stunt driver or a race car driver might have a 3 or 4 in drive. Right?
I would like to formally request at least one car chase in the campaign.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Car chase. Okay.
I love playing drivers.
Let's start a wishes page.
It's gonna be so much fun to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Car chase with some
but
Tommy
we're
guns.
Yeah.
but we're only allowed to speak in 1940s versions of Fast and the Furious dialogue.
Familia.
I am
All
saying nothing. I am playing the car chase music the entire
Yeah.
time.
Right. Yeah.
Your power, you provide background music to
Right.
people, and
Yeah.
I can see
We
you,
found the bar,
influencing
guys.
me. Yeah. And it's not me this time.
Right. Yeah. So, so etiquette is being able to, being able to do the right thing in various types of society. So it's not even necessarily like what we think of as like high society. It could also be used to just we're in Chinatown and knowing what might be seen as rude there versus another part of town or another culture's another culture.
Or like how to disagree with a gang leader without making them lose face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That would be etiquette. Being able to function properly in the society that you're currently in, whether it's yours or not. So firearms, shooting things, martial arts we talked about, meditation. So meditation is meditation is not in any of the other World of Darkness games. It's only in Mage, but you can use meditation to enter a meditative state. You can do it to prepare for spells. So you can, if you want to play around with meditation, higher points in meditation would allow you to. Like if you succeed on a high meditation roll, it would help you focus when you're going to go into like a really long spell, or it's or maybe use meditation as a way to connect to your spell casting. So and one of the things that I like to do in Mage is using skills that are connected to your paradigm in order to express how well you perform your magic. So what I like to do a lot of times is have you do an ability, an attribute roll, in order to work your magic. So like if Silver is going to try and do a spell that's going to like shatter all the wine glasses in the room, right? So ultimately we're going to use the spheres and the arete system, which we'll talk about later, which is what fuels your how you roll your magic. But before you do that, I would have you roll like a charisma plus art roll, or charisma plus or maybe expression. We can decide whether your music is art or expression. But like charisma plus your music skill,
Right.
to see how well you do, and you might still be able to accomplish it even if you play like shit. But if you play brilliantly, you might actually I might give you a bonus to the spell casting roll. Right. So for example, somebody who wanted to like travel through the astral plane, maybe you'll roll like stamina and meditation to represent how well you're able to focus your inner self and move out away from your body. So so that's why you might choose meditation. Many of these, if you don't plan to do that thing, you don't have to put any dots in it. So, and generally, if you're doing something that you don't have a dot in, for the most, some things are just impossible. If you don't have a dot in them, but most things, it's going to just be represented as it's going to take away from your dice pool. So like if you don't have a dot in drive, but you try to do precision driving, you're going to have a minus. You might get your dexterity roll, which is like 3 or 4, but you're going to lose 2 of those dice. So you're actually rolling only 2 instead of all 4. So that's kind of how it works. If you don't have a dot, you can still try something. It's just going to be harder. Okay. So melee is fighting with weapons. Research is your ability to actually do in-depth research. So especially if you want to be somebody who's really brainy and doing really looking into history a lot, something like that, you might want research dots. Stealth, survival, technology should be pretty straightforward. The knowledges, there's some that are a little weird here. So academics mostly that recognizes academic schooling levels. So like if you just like have a normal like high school education, you'd have 0 in academics. If you have like if you went to college, you'd have or at least like maybe you started college, you might have a 1 in academics. If you finished college, you might have 2. If you went to grad school, 3. If you're like a celebrated professor known throughout history for your work, that's when you might have 4, right? Or 5. So like Albert Einstein has 5. Right, the physics professor at like UC Santa Cruz, like no offense Santa Cruz, I just picked you at random, but like the physics professor at UC Santa Cruz might have a 3 or 4 in physics, but they're not at that level of Einstein where they've achieved international recognition for their academics. So computer's kind of weird here because this is a very early age in computer technology. So if any of you are wanting to play with computers, let's talk about how that's going to manifest. But it's, when you play this in the modern day, it's similar to Drive. Like everybody knows how to turn on a computer and, use email and all that. But at this point in history, like nobody knows anything about computers except the like 100 people in the world who are building them, right? So none of you are likely to have computers unless that's something that your character is focused on, in which case we'll need to talk about what stage computers are at this point. So okay, so this is now we get the weird stuff. So enigmas, esoterica, and occult. So enigmas is your ability to figure out puzzles and patterns and riddles, mysteries. So if you want like to be somebody who's kind of investigative, enigmas is a really good one to have. That's different than investigation, which is about observing the physical world. Right? Esoterica is your knowledge about magic and magic in history and throughout the world, different types of magic, etc. So so if you don't really get into that stuff, you can be a very powerful mage and have 0 dots in esoterica. You don't know what everybody else does, but you know how to do your thing, and that's totally fine. Right? And then occult is your knowledge of the rest of the supernatural world. So, vampires, werewolves, the fae, and, spirits and ghosts, etc. So that's how those are different. And so Mage has these all broken down into weird ways, but that's how they're different. If you have any questions about that, I'm happy to re-explain it because I know I just ran through everything really fast. But similar to
So well.
oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, yeah.
And like without break or pause, like, I don't know how your vocal box is dealing with it. I'm impressed.
Thank you. I was a teacher, so that's where a lot of it came
It's no
from.
longer
Yeah.
in a class. Trust me, I'm
Right?
That's
Yeah.
like a college.
Oh my
level
God,
class
it's 8
we're
o'clock
taking.
already.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So so I think maybe maybe unless you guys have already been filling stuff out as I went along, or you have a good idea, we can kind of skip doing the abilities, filling in the dots. But you get, Nick, do you have that up? Or, I know I put it in
Which-
here somewhere.
How many
How
dots?
many
you get
How many
for
dots and
abilities?
skills and abilities?
It is
I got
15, 10, and 6.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
15, 10, and 6. So pick one of those numbers for each column and fill those in. I will tell you, anything that you want your character to be able to do at the beginning of the game, have at least 1 dot in it, right? But the way, like, my pro tip for dots in World of Darkness is, if there's any you want at like 3 or 4, it's a lot cheaper to buy them by putting the dots in them than it is to build them up with experience. So if you have one that you know is going to be strong, like Banu might be really strong in like esoterica or the occult, right? And so or cosmology. Oh, I forgot to mention cosmology. That's but cosmology is like sort of like religions and worldviews and belief systems, and how people put together their understanding all of those things and how they intertwine in different ones. So Banu might have like a really high esoterica or occult because of that awareness of history and the way things go, or might have had a really high academics, having learned all, having learned so much about history and things. So like you might want to put like a 3 or 4 in esoterica. I would do that now and then just put 1 dot in all the other stuff that you want in the knowledges, right? So like obviously silver, and we can go with art or expression, whichever one you feel is more apt for your music. But you probably want a 3 or 4 in those, right? In one of those, and so you can put that now, and you might want to be able to fight, and you don't have enough dots, so you might just put 1 in brawl and 1 in alertness and 1 in streetwise.
Right.
But you might want your art up high and your expression up high, or
Right.
So
Yep, yep.
So this is kind of the point to min max, and another a second or third dot can come easier later. But the way I usually approach this when I'm building World of Darkness characters is I go through and I just put 1 dot in each of the things that I know I want, and then I look at where I've got the most of them, and then see like, oh, okay, I've got like 7 different talents that I want, but there's only 1 of them that I want to be high, and the rest of them I just want 1 dot in it. So I might have 7 talents, but I'm only going to use my 10 in there because I only have 3 knowledges, but I want all 3 of them to be like a 4. So
I'm going to call out Mr. Gon here in talents. The talents column is missing art.
No,
Oh.
I see it.
No, it's the second one.
it is in
on the
mine.
4.
Oh,
On the 4-page one,
Oh, okay.
Oh,
it's also there.
oh, really? Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay. Well, I've got the 4-page one up here, and I don't see it.
Oh, because I've got the one I downloaded today has it right underneath alertness.
All right. Well, then,
Yeah.
whatever
So-
version this is, I'll write in and
Okay.
I'll write a strongly
Yeah.
worded letter.
Okay, yeah. You might check. You might be using the original Mage edition, or maybe the Mage the Awakening edition.
No, it says
No?
20th anniversary
20th?
edition. Yeah,
Oh, weird.
but
Yeah.
whatever.
And yeah, I printed out the 1-pagers for all of you, and it had it in there. So yeah, but that's weird. Okay. But yeah, so that's where you kind of want to go there. I'm especially like until it comes up in play, I'm very flexible with these. So like if you put if you put 2 dots in a cult and then we start playing and you realize those really should have gone in esoterica instead, like, and we haven't really done anything with a cult, like, I just tell me, like, hey, I haven't used this at all. I really think it should be here instead. I think that's more interesting for me. And we'll just move it over and it's fine. So once something comes up in play, I want to try and keep it there. And like, you can build up the other one, but I want you to keep the one that you used. So, okay.
Once you use it, you buy it.
Yeah,
Once you've
yeah.
opened it up.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You broke it, you bought it. Yeah. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Okay.
You
Okay.
can, it's just incredibly laborious.
Right, yeah.
I was like, things I've had to do as a prop person that no normal person should have to do.
You probably have had to put toothpaste back in a tube.
you just put it in a sandwich bag and use that sandwich bag to turn it into.
Squeeze it back
Oh.
Or you could
cut
do
a
it like
quarter out of
a-
the sandwich bag. And then
if you have a big syringe, like a wide
Yeah.
syringe, you could do it that way.
in. Or if you're really
Turkey
unfortunate, a straw.
So unsanitary.
Yeah, but no one's actually. I mean, if you're squeezing out the whole thing, no one's actually using that.
Okay. So
But just buy more than one tube,
Yeah.
is what we're saying. For
Yes.
your student production,
please
just
do.
buy like 3
Yeah.
tubes of toothpaste. It's
we're
fine.
not sponsored by Crest.
Okay, so holding off on spheres for a second. So backgrounds, you get 9 points in backgrounds. Don't worry about those yet, because there's a lot of them, and it's really hard to figure them out. So backgrounds are also really cheap with your freebie points. So so you're gonna get I usually do 15 freebie points. So after you do all of the numbered dots and distribute them how you want, you get freebie points. Backgrounds and willpower are 2 things, like both of those are 1 for 1. So it's real cheap to buy up backgrounds and willpower with freebie points. So you can kind of look at those later and kind of decide what you want. And you can also and we can have these conversations offline because they can take a while if you really get into them. But there's all kinds of things like you can get magical items that do a certain thing. You can get like a mentor. You can get a spirit that follows you around and hangs out with you. You can get a familiar. But it's also like, how much money do you have? And and do you have a staff that works for you? Like, you can have a retainer. You can, like, maybe you got a butler or a valet, or or maybe you have your own personal bodyguard. Like, so there are ways to do that. But there's a lot of options there. So just kind of look through what those options are and let me know what you want to have, and then we can talk about like how many dots you need. Some of them are very vague, like with resources, which is money. Like 1 dot is like you got enough money to get by barely. So like that's like you're kind of, you're not quite in poverty, but you're barely above poverty, right? So if you have 0 dots in resources, you're at poverty level. And then like 5 is like, I'm a billionaire and billionaires don't even exist yet. So so that's like, 5 is some of the richest people in the world. You can absolutely be one of the richest people in the world. That is totally fine if that's what you want your character to be.
No, it's not. Spread the wealth.
So, and
The
also,
first thing the rest of us do is just make that disappear.
yeah. Screw this magic thing. We could actually just pay for everything. Are you listening,
Money
Elon Musk?
Money is my magic.
Right? Yeah. You could actually just fix poverty. Just fix it.
Well,
Tonight.
it's Batman's
Right.
superpower.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Which is
Yeah.
why I hate that character.
Right, thank you.
So much.
Yeah. If he just put his money into the fucking community, he wouldn't need to be a superhero.
Or just leave.
Yeah, right.
Or just leave. Just stop.
Yeah,
Just
bye.
stop doing all the things you're doing, and Gotham will be better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Stop making people fatherless by throwing them in jail. And
Thank you. Okay. All right.
Okay,
Dion,
sorry.
we're friends. Anyway, but yeah. So just there's a lot of stuff that goes into backgrounds, and so it's going to be easier if you just kind of look through each one of them. Some of them get really long, and you don't have to read the whole thing. If you read like the first sentence and you're like, oh, I don't need that, go ahead and skip it. You're not going to miss anything. I'm not going to like later come and say like, you guys all took like a mentor background, right? Because you all need your mentors right now. Like that's not what we're going to do. If you have mentor, I'm going to use it, and I'm going to have ways for you to interact and use your mentor. If you don't have mentor as a background, it's not going to come up. It's not an issue, right? So this is really about fleshing out what you want your character to have as the things that are part of their world. So
Can I point out one that we might also want to consider as a group, probably offline, but one of the backgrounds is Chantry.
yes.
And I don't know if part of that is addressed by the Mayflower Club, but it's something that we can all like pool points towards and have like a place where we can do magic and that's, protected and out of the world.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I forgot to talk to you about that at all. So the Mayflower Hotel is your chantry. So you individually can have a separate place if you want to have your own little sanctum sanctorum and where you do your thing. And you can put points into that and build it up. There's also one called Node, which is a place where magical energy kind of swells. You can think of it like ley line intersections or a font of primal energy or things like that. But there is a very strong node inside the Mayflower Hotel that you'll have access to. So in general, you'll be able to use anything in chantry in like a very powerful chantry. You'll have access to that. It's part of your being in the Mayflower Club. So like if you're like, I'm going to betray the club or I'm just going to go away and not fuck around with them, like you will lose access to that. But hopefully you won't do that because the whole story is being in the club. So,
what'd you say? Leave the club immediately?
no,
That-
Dion, no.
Don't go
I'm
to the
going on a
club.
hunting trip.
First rule of Mayflower Club is nobody leaves Mayflower Club.
Hey guys, so road trip to LA?
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
let's go.
Let's just leave Seattle entirely.
Right? Yeah.
We were talking about zoot suits in the Slack. So
Right?
let's go.
Yeah. So, and we can travel for sure, but you won't have your chantry if you travel, unless somebody has high enough correspondence, and you're like, well, let's just teleport back. But yeah,
Or just
so
they could physically exist in the same space, which
Right.
is like at the weird level.
right? Yeah. I've been on this weird thought experiment kick lately, where I've been thinking about space time and connected with like teleportation, and I'm like, if Nightcrawler teleports, across across the city, right? Technically, in the time that he's teleported, the Earth has moved. Like, not just spinning, but it's moved through space. And like, actually, like, if you start really getting serious about space-time mechanics, like, teleportation is extraordinarily dangerous. Like, oh, I teleported, now I'm in the middle of space, and bye, there goes my planet.
Well, one of the jokes about time travel is that it's been invented like 50, 60 times, but no one takes into consideration that the Earth isn't in the same place. So they go back.
Yeah.
They go back, 16 hours, and the planet's over there, and they suffocate in the back in space.
Right? Yeah. I'm so glad I'm not the only person who's been thinking about that, because it's been really weirding me out lately. Like, no teleportation works. But okay. Sorry, I'm getting really weak.
I mean, unless you like instinctively take into account the way you are constantly moving through space too, because it's not just the Earth that is moving through space. Every time we are also moving through space.
Yeah,
now?
that is a great point.
So I was going to say this, but I didn't know how deep we were going to get into the weeds of this. The real question in that then is, when he disappears, does he leave Earth's relative gravity pull? Because if his matter is still within the gravitational pull of Earth, he would continue to travel with Earth. Like his inertia would continue.
Yeah.
And so he would land where he thought he would land, right? But if somehow when he blinks, he leaves the relative pull of Earth, then he wouldn't get pulled with Earth. And that would have all kind of other implications. Like when he comes back, what is he relative to?
Right,
Like, He would either stop moving or slow down, and it would be too much, he would burst.
Well,
That's the point.
Yeah,
He
if
would
you
burst
stop
immediately.
moving, you're just gonna splat.
Well, yeah, because it's too fast. It would be
Right.
too much of a change at once. He would burst.
Okay, I love this.
Okay.
and it's great for a nerd out. For a nerd
Oh,
out episode.
What was that about high
okay.
grad students?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dion, Pooja, like, we're doing nerding out on teleportation. Okay. All right, sorry, let's get back to it. So anyway, look through backgrounds. There's a lot of stuff. We will have access to a chantry. Feel free to build up your own if you want your special space. And like, if and you can also so everybody in the Mayflower Club has a townhouse as part of the top floors. So housing is taken care of for you, and like, you don't have to earn a living or have money. You've got housekeeping, you've got a place, you've got a place to stay, you can get food, like, so you don't have to like worry about having a huge amount of money to live a decent lifestyle, right?
Is liquor included, or do we have to buy a drink ticket? Like,
that's going to depend. For the band, liquor is included as long as you can still play.
all right.
So
all right.
Oliver will pick up the
So
tab.
we're all about
and Nona is a big drinker, so Nona likes her alcohol, and so like the parties are flowing. So so as long as you're with Nona, you can drink as much as you want for free. But yeah, as long as you tip well. So you can build up your own chantry within the townhouse that you get. So if you want to have a special private place for you to do your magic, you don't need to worry about having a node for the chantry, for your personal chantry. There's plenty from the Mayflower Hotel. So so look at those things, make some decisions. If you want a retainer or a mentor or like a contact, maybe the editor-in-chief of the newspaper, or a professor at the local college, just have an idea. You can come to me with as much or as little information about that as you want. Just say I want to make sure I know the natural history professor at the nearest university. Okay, cool. I will come up with that if you don't if you don't have stuff. But if you're like, I want them to be this age and, you know, this gender and this background and this
These color eyes.
yeah, these color eyes, like that's fine. Like
This many abs.
yeah, right. This many abs. That will detect whether it's a love interest or not, or whether I just ship it. So if have as much or as little information about that NPC as you want, I'm totally fine to come up with that for you. And I super enjoy that stuff. So, but I also love it when you bring me a character and you're like, I want this character in the game, and I can have a lot of fun with that. So, but ask me questions if you need to about any of that stuff. Feel free to talk about it in the Slack. You can direct message me if it's something you're not sure you want the whole group to know about. Like, and talking about table secrets, I don't typically deal with table secrets very much. If you have something that's pivotal to your story that you want to reveal at the right moment, that's fine. Make sure I know about it so I can so I can help make sure it gets there. But otherwise, I trust all of you, like, to not metagame and like if somebody's like, I'm secretly an alien, but you guys don't know it. Like, don't know that they're an alien until they actually reveal it in the game, right? So you can set up situations where you're like, oh, I'm gonna walk in just as you're changing clothes, and like, I see your antenna. Why are they on your butt? Sorry, I'm just making stuff up as I go along.
Judgmental.
Yeah, antenna. So Jason's gonna have his next superhero character have antenna. So anyway, but if you want to have a sort of secret thing, that's fine. Just let me know about it, and and we can talk about it, and I can help plan like when the rest of the group is going to know about it. But I do believe table secrets should come out. They're not fun if nobody else knows that they're happening. So
Right.
yeah, but we'll talk about that. Okay, and then there's some derived stats on here. So like your arete and your willpower are based on other things, and there's so we'll deal with those after you we'll probably do that at the beginning of the next session if you can't figure it out, right?
Okay.
So if you can do that homework, great. If you can't, if you're not sure about it, don't have time, that's fine. We'll plan we can plan some time either offline or in person and go over that and figure it out.
Adam, is there anything else that we absolutely need to know right now? Because we're coming up on 8:30, and I know we want to do some Decima.
Yeah, I want to do some Decima. Do you guys have time to do you feel knowing enough about your characters to do some Decima?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks, Nick, for keeping us on track.
Yeah.
So, okay. My personal Decima set. I backed it on Kickstarter. Even though I could have just talked Kimmy into giving me one for free. But,
But we support our friends in this house.
Right, exactly. So draw a card, pass it along. You can draw it from anywhere in the deck that you want.
Right here.
We might play some more Decima when we start the game. So, and then also,
Which way?
Oh, yeah, which way will it go?
yes. Oh, thank you.
This way.
But
This
do you
is the
flip it
way.
this way? This
I'm gonna. I already decided.
Okay.
I'm gonna flip it this way.
Pass it
Okay.
around.
Yeah, it's the top. I'm gonna try to hold myself to do just that one.
Yeah. It's really fun if you can make it fit. But the nice thing about Decima is that if it doesn't fit, it's totally
must-
okay to get another one. So if it doesn't fit, you must quit. Is that where you were going?
Yes.
Okay. And all right. Pick one and pass it around. We're just gonna do one of each for right now, and we'll see
Okay.
how that goes. Because as you all know, I can stretch infinitely. Narratively.
I didn't know that was your
Fantastic.
superpower.
I was gonna say, is that your power?
Okay.
That's sun stars.
All right. So, let's see. Courtney,
Yeah.
why don't you draw a tarot card and tell us which character that tells us to go
This
first?
one's for Pooja. So it's the
Pooja.
Fool.
Oh, okay.
No, it's a Page of Pentacles.
Page of Pentacles.
Sorry,
Okay.
look like the
Right.
Fool first.
So, yeah, draw them and then tell us based on what it is who that is.
Oh, the Page of Pentacles.
Who's the Page of Pentacles at this
I
table?
feel you're more like the Page, because Pentacles
Yeah.
is more about like the wealth and the material, and
Okay. So Dion,
Pages have messages.
take your red card
My
and
red card.
read the question and let's answer it.
You used to blink to get ahead. What did you do? Do they know? Oh, I'm an English teacher who can't read. You used blank to get ahead. I put the two
Ooh.
before.
Okay.
I used blank to get ahead. What did I do and do they know?
Ah.
No
choosing
cheat.
one
No
person?
cheat. Who did I use?
So we have Silver, Evelyn, Alexander, and Banu. Banu. It's right fucking in front of me. Banu.
They'll get it.
Yeah. Okay. I feel as if I would have used Banu.
Okay.
Because Banu is, we're both the social people, but
Mhm.
Banu's really social. Like it's actual. And I'm just putting on the face.
Uh-huh.
So I would have used Banu for like that connection to like really pull in. I probably would have used it to get close to some people. Let's see, maybe. Let's say I'm probably at a certain point before I don't know, I'm going to assume that maybe we'll at some point get close if not already. But I definitely at the beginning faked friendship with Banu to create connections in the club, to sort of be in the end, probably to get liquor, probably to be part of like the liquor ring, get things for free. And definitely Banu does not know. Because if we're friends now, then we're going to think that they were sincere from the beginning. But at first it was definitely for my usage.
Okay.
I think that there's like a level there of like they maybe know but don't care. That's like this is the way the world works.
Yeah.
This makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it's fine because like everything comes back around in time.
Mm-hmm.
Or not.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Courtney,
Yes.
draw another card and tell us who that is.
Let's see. This one is the Queen of Wands.
The Queen of
What
Wands.
have been good for you? I think that's actually Alexander.
Okay. Alexander. Pick do your red card.
Blank wants you to try something new, but you aren't interested. What is it and why avoid it? Well, let me think about what Alexander would want to avoid. I think. Boy, it doesn't make any sense.
What's your question again?
Blank wants you to try something new, but you aren't interested. What is it and why avoid it? And my initial thought was like joining a club or a hierarchy, but I am already in a club, so that didn't make a lot of sense.
What's joining
for
this
me to
club?
go.
Yeah. I mean,
Well, and I don't want to make the character who's like, I'm a loner. I didn't want to join this club anyway.
right.
Because that's just not fun for anybody to play with.
Yeah. But it could be that you were hesitant to join, and one of the others kind of talked you into it, or one of the others explained to you what figured out a way to make it look beneficial for you. Might be another way to think about it. Yeah. You can take a new card too.
Let me think about it, and
Okay.
we'll just move on, and I'll ruminate, and then
Okay.
I'll interject myself.
All right. Who's next?
Keep pulling people cards. King of Cups.
Ah.
What's your vibe again?
The hedonist.
Hedonist. Yeah, this is you.
Uh-huh.
Because cups are all about like the emotions in the field.
Fantastic. So,
Banu-
red card.
Yes.
Come
red
to me, card.
card.
Blank could help you get something you want if you'd ask. What keeps you from asking?
Ooh,
Ooh.
that's interesting. It's a fun question for a hedonist. What do
Yeah.
you want that you don't want to ask about?
Yeah, that's a really interesting one because it's like I think that this one's gonna go more to the nature
Mm-hmm.
because one thing that Banu wants but knows they can never have
Mm-hmm.
is stability and security.
Ah, okay.
Like I think there's a part of them that like craves it.
Yeah.
And I think that Evelyn could help me get that.
Uh-huh.
Like could help me like get more solid here
Yeah.
in a way that I've never been because I've always been flitting around from place to place
Uh-huh.
and just living, you know, wherever the wind takes me, that kind of stuff. And I don't actually ask for it because I don't believe it will last. And it would be worse to get it and lose it than to never have it at all.
Uh-huh.
Deep.
Nice.
No, sorry. Did I?
No, that's great.
I've done too much.
Okay.
Well, that
yeah.
makes what I was going to say pretty banal, but I was thinking that Silver wants to have Alexander try artistic expression, not necessarily music, but some form of expression and creativity. And Alexander isn't interested in that because he doesn't feel like it's necessary. It's not that it's bad, and it's not that he doesn't enjoy art and music and things like that, but he doesn't think that he needs to be someone. He's content being a consumer, not a producer of those items.
Artist life and power, man.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, Courtney, that leaves you.
At least me. What card would have been mine? 9 of Swords. Grief. I guess I'm a sad girl. All right. Red card? I don't know. That might influence how I answer this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know
Red
what my
card,
this
yes.
is. You knew and trusted blank before joining the group. How did you meet? Oh shit.
Oh, interesting.
Knew and trusted. Wow.
Fancy.
Somebody that doesn't seem to likely to trust a lot of people.
Yeah. Who could? Well, could it be an NPC? Or should it be a player at the table?
Generally, at this point, let's try to do a player at the
Okay.
table. Yeah.
Let's see.
But we may do some NPC wins some
I
other time.
feel like there's a connection I could have with Silver because you kind of like fled your life in the South and I kind of fled my life in Chicago for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like maybe I could have helped you with that because I have connections with the feds. But maybe you proved that you weren't someone who would snitch on me.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't someone who would, give away my identity. And what? I'll tell you this. I'll write down a little secret for you to know about her.
Nice.
Nice. We met on the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, maybe you headed to Chicago first, and
Right.
Yeah.
you know.
Which is where most people who plant transplanted from Mississippi went in
Oh,
real life.
there you go.
Yeah, yeah,
Good
yeah,
work.
yeah, and also had probably a more well-known jazz scene than Seattle. So,
Definitely.
Yeah.
maybe you caught her snooping around and didn't say anything, or pointed out,
Mhm.
you know, what the secret room was that the
Well, it would make sense, especially for how I did my stats, because I put a lot into Streetwise in the hopes that like I would still have this sort of like underbelly connection.
Yeah.
So it would like I probably
That's
had
some street
probably knew somebody that she was probably after,
Yeah.
but I didn't say anything.
Right. Yeah. Gun legit now, but doesn't mean you were always legit.
Yeah.
There's your little secret you can have.
Maybe you haven't gone that legit now.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's information.
Yeah, I'll give it to you later.
Okay. Let's all right. Dion.
Yes.
Sorry, that's where the pin landed.
No, it's
Playing
fine.
spin the pin. Spin the pen. Sorry, but no, I'm not sorry. My
Yeah.
Oklahoma accent comes out sometimes with pin and pen. And sometimes I overcorrect and I call like a safety pin a safety pen.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Dion, do your blue card.
Blue. Our location had a recognizable feature that was destroyed. What was it and who destroyed it? All right, for sure, we definitely had. I'm thinking this is a club. It's the 40s. And this seems not speakeasy. This doesn't seem hidden.
No, this one's not hidden.
This seems.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining at a certain point we had a larger than life sign, very like old Las Vegas-esque.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Probably had. I don't know. I couldn't even think. I would need to think more on what it maybe looks like, but
Yeah.
right. Think of like the pinup signs in old Las Vegas, but our version of that.
Okay.
That one that now is destroyed. By whom? I don't think I know enough about the world to say specifically.
Okay.
But I would just say whoever sort of the enemies of our club, whoever wants the club's demise as a sign of hatred for us, destroyed what was the sort of bright, vibrant
Ooh, I like that.
image of our luxury and power, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that I don't know if that's the script. Is that
Nope,
enough?
that's great. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Nice. All right. That looks like Nick. Nick, turn over
Okay.
your blue card.
Blue card.
Okay, this is turning out to be the same order.
Crazy.
Somebody's controlling the entropy.
Sorry. There is an annoying problem in our location that we haven't been able to fix. What is it?
My brain is just like the air conditioning.
I'm really glad I didn't get this one because my brain went immediately immature.
Well, you're in the right place then. That is the Happy Jack's way.
The first thing that popped into my head actually was like in the flight path of an airport,
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
but I don't know what really know what the status of air travel and flight would have been at that time.
Yeah, I really.
45?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very early.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Right. I
Yeah.
know because it like not a lot of big commercial
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
things,
yet.
so I'm not sure that works. But
Yeah.
maybe it's
And for location, it doesn't just have to be about the Mayflower Hotel. Like it could be Seattle in general, or or some other part around, like maybe another neighborhood
Okay.
in Seattle, or like something like that. So you can think anywhere from like the bar all the way up to like the region.
there isn't a trolley or public transportation that stops nearby.
Oh.
That's too close
I
to home.
feel that. As someone who doesn't drive, I feel that.
I have an hour and a half commute each way.
Oh, no.
Oh.
I live down the street.
Okay.
I
there's
have
no
never
trolley
lived
that stops
anywhere with
nearby.
decent
Yeah,
public
and we haven't
transportation.
like
Like-
we've done some petitioning and we've tried to have the city take a district reroute things and try to make it taken care of, but something is resistant to that happening for us.
Okay.
Have we tried magic? Ooh.
That's what I'm thinking.
Maybe
For magical, we should be able to do this ourselves.
I feel this problem
tried
viscerally.
magic.
Do a magic about it.
Oh my god. Okay. All right.
Little brownie
Great.
face, but
Okay. Pooja.
okay.
Let's do your blue card. That is exactly the same one.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So spin the pen
Mhm.
and
Tarot
tarot
Uh-huh.
ended up with the same thing. Okay.
We'll roll a d4 next time.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Where in our location do you go to better yourself?
How does Banu define bettering yourself?
I'm
Because
practicing.
I have only known you for a number of hours, but I'm already ecstatic for your answer to this question.
I think that there is, I mean, obviously X card if it goes too far, but there is like a full service, like what we would now call a self-care facility, but it like is a step beyond. So it is a combination like spa, bar, brothel,
Okay.
all under one roof.
That sounds
Like it's like let's say it's a 3-story building, and like each facility is on a different floor. The bar is on the ground floor because you don't want to make drunk people do stairs.
Right.
And then you have the spa that you could hit before you go to the brothel. Because put your
Okay.
best face forward,
Or on your way down.
or both.
Oops, I keep kicking your camera. Sorry.
Oh,
This place exists in real life.
Yes.
does it? I want to
Yeah.
know.
It's actually, funnily enough, called Club Hedonism in Jamaica.
What?
Nice.
I mean, because this sounds like brilliance personified. Like, like I would.
Also, there is a full service kitchen.
Yeah.
Is it like different levels of, like if you're a bronze member, you can come and go into the bar and order in the kitchen, and if you're a silver member, you can use the spa, and if
Oh,
you're a gold
maybe.
member, you
Yeah.
can also use the
Yeah.
brothel or something. I mean, it's your.
I
your
don't think
call.
so. I think it's like a It's more of like if you have the funds, they have the time.
Okay.
Also, you're
Situation
a-
rather than a like societal stratified thing. And I am going to say, because like also to riff on that it is actually run by like a friend of Nona's, and that's
Okay.
why it's so egalitarian about it. Because most of the time you would expect it. You would expect it like to be a members only place. You would expect it to like for
Yeah.
discerning clientele. But rather than this like classist bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, this is what it's gonna be, and so long as you abide by the rules, we're good.
Okay.
Like the rules being
Yeah.
like safety.
Yeah.
Also, your idea of the
I love
stairs works in so many other ways. Like the drunk people have to do 2 flights before they get to the brothel.
Right. Yeah.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
sobering up.
Yeah. Yeah.
They aren't too
Probably reduces a lot of bad behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you
Or a
know,
lot of people pass out on the way up. You
yeah.
never make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were too drunk.
Yeah, especially if you gotta sweat your way past the sauna. Like, hey, yeah. So, okay, that's awesome. Cool. Right.
somebody else has to name it though.
Okay. All right.
We'll put suggestions in the Slack.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
vote on what we
Yeah, if
like.
you guys think of a great name, please say so. Otherwise, I'll
Or-
come up with something
yeah.
eventually. So, all right, Courtney,
Blue card.
let's do blue card.
Okay, a powerful group is against our location. Who are
Ah.
they and why do they hate us?
So you have to name the group.
Mm.
Is this like the villains or should
Yeah,
we come
so-
up with something Monday?
Well, okay,
Should I
so
choose a different
so
question?
there's a number of ways. This could be something mundane. So it could be like organized crime that doesn't like the way they're running the club there. It could be like
Temperance movement.
temperance movement. Yeah.
Except my character, I like
Yeah.
that.
Could be a politician, that wants to get rid of you for some reason.
Mhm.
It could be something magical. It could be a bunch of vampires that are like, no, we want this place for us. It could be like another group of mages. And
There could
maybe
be too many possibilities.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, there's a lot of stuff.
Ah,
Aliens.
Yeah, aliens.
powerful group.
Probably not aliens, but yeah.
I feel like someone wants the building for a reason. Either it's a really good location or they want that magic. Okay, you know what? It's someone on the surface appears to be like it appears to be some kind of land grab. So either a politician or a developer.
Yeah.
But there is something sinister underneath that we're not aware of. So something either magical or underground gangs or something. I'll leave that up to you, what it actually is. But right now it appears to be some kind of contractor or landlord who wants the building for either the land or for it's just a cool building they want to make money off.
Yeah. Okay.
I was originally going to say like it's a bunch of church moms who just don't like us.
Right, yeah.
They would
Moms
have
against
a lot of
mages?
reasons. That's what I'm saying.
Mages.
Ma'am.
Mobs against all mages.
There you go.
Ma'am.
Okay.
They want you to know this isn't a race or class thing.
Right, yeah. All-
You're all just terrible.
Okay. All right. Do a G4 about it.
We got to choose. Who's 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. That's
Oh,
you.
okay. Hey, that's
Yeah.
me.
So do your purple card.
I wasn't ready for that because that wasn't the right order. Someone powerful revealed something negative about our group. Who was it and what did they reveal?
Ooh.
Does it have to be a true thing?
It does not.
Okay.
I don't think so.
I think that there is a motion. There's a church organization that believes that this whole operation is a den of iniquity and sin. There's wild parties. We are luring the youth of Seattle into dangerous and bad territory. We uphold bad things, and things seem to happen around us that seem strange, and they're calling that out to everybody as evidence of our demonic tendencies and hedonism. And we're the rot in the apple of Seattle.
Yeah.
We're the worm.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Okay.
On the back end,
Yeah.
this whole thing is about us coming together to be this sort of collection of magical people for protection purposes.
Yeah.
But on the actual business side, front end, is this just a functioning club?
It's a whole hotel. So
Right.
yeah, so it is one of the newest and largest hotels. It's a very upscale hotel right in the middle of Seattle. Great location. And then the club is a big chunk of the bottom floor. It is a swing jazz club and bar and restaurant, and it is known for the wild parties.
And
for
so,
sure.
to his point,
Yeah.
the youth of Seattle would be
Yes.
flocking
Yeah,
for the music scene. And okay.
absolutely.
Well,
So-
and I also
yeah.
think another point of it is that since Nona is so egalitarian,
yeah.
it's not split housing. So
Yeah.
you've got men and women living on the same floor,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
they commingle, and it's
Yeah.
they shouldn't be doing that
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're not married.
Yeah, absolutely. And not that we plan to play into this, but if we did want to go there, like it is not segregated either. So depending on whether or not we want to actually go into that realm, which I'm not recommending, but like regardless of what the social norms are, it is like everything is merged and melded and allowed here, and so anybody who has the slightest bit of stick up their butt is definitely going to hate Oliver's, or going to hate the club. So sorry, it's the carousel room is the club itself.
I feel like Evelyn's gonna just be in there, be like, I'm here, but I don't like you.
Yeah.
I'm going to my
Like,
room.
get the stick out of your butt, Evelyn.
So
I'll be the one stickiest
yeah.
of butts.
okay. All right. Do a couple more real quick. One. Dion.
One. Yay. What line has the group already crossed? All of them.
Yeah.
Easy to answer.
We kind of answered that one, didn't we? Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Do you want to grab a
Yeah.
different one? If
Or
like
flip
that's
it around.
already been
Actually, you know what? Let me give you another red card.
Okay.
Ooh.
Let's do another relationship instead.
You go to blank when something has to be done right the first time. Okay. So the immediate answer is Evelyn, but I probably already have a lot with you because we've
Yeah,
known each
we're
other for a
building
while.
something, yeah.
Mhm.
So to get out of that, I think the next one for me is going to be Alexander.
Mhm.
okay.
I think I'm gonna see you as someone who is very sure of who you are and is very confident in what you do, and that's gonna lead me to believe that you can execute with the first time without any sort of hesitation because you would approach it with so much confidence. So anytime I'm like, I know I need this to be done, I know I need it done correctly, I would go to Alexander for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's interesting because there's kind of a flip between the two of you. Like you display a lot of confidence,
Right.
but inside you're a lot more reserved.
Right.
Whereas he or you're more, not more reserved, but like you put on this really like generous, charming
Show.
outer show.
Right.
But inside you're really a lot more like suspicious, maybe.
Definitely.
Like not as trusting, not
Not
as
at all.
open to people. Whereas he's got the show, but his show is actually like hiding like a generosity, I don't know, like I don't want to say purity, but it kind of feels.
I'm
like
a
that
big
too.
softie.
Yeah, exactly.
But I
yeah.
put on this hard ass show.
Yeah, exactly. So like he pretends to be cool and detached, but he's really actually very emotionally invested. Whereas you pretend to be emotionally available
To everybody.
Yeah,
In
right.
reality, I don't.
So you're like, it's a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
I can relate to that.
It's like a giant glass window that the little birdies keep ramming into.
Okay, and I think I might like trade out your purple cards for red ones because I forgot how the purple ones are like you don't need as many of those. So, it's 1, 4. Pooja. Let me give you.
I'm last.
Let me give you.
The universe really has one.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know that I would actually care about any.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, this one's bad.
Okay.
Yeah. The nice thing about Tekama is that if you reverse the card, oftentimes the question along the same theme could fit.
Mm-hmm.
The ambition you see in blank scares you. And I don't have, so I have a relationship with Silver. I have a relationship with Evelyn, and I think that I think the ambition I see in Alexander kind of frightens me a little. That I'm a little concerned that rather than that there are ulterior motives going on.
Like you can't quite believe that he's not planning something or not.
Yeah, like there's a little like there's just like okay, well there's all this happy-go-lucky, but but who is this man beneath the mask?
Yeah.
Is he really?
Can I make like a suggestion?
Mm-hmm.
I think that our characters' worldviews are similar, or at least sound similar on the surface about reincarnation and the wheel and things like that happening. But the way that I approach it, like I'm trying to cheat the system, seems like that's an ambition that is different from your understanding. Does that?
Especially as someone who uses entropy.
Yeah, it could be like because I believe that there is a inevitable conclusion in a way, and you are trying to cheat that. That makes sense. I will say, like, I don't necessarily think my character believes in reincarnation.
Okay.
I'm not going that route with them.
Oh, you were talking about like the circle and stuff, and I guess I just misinterpreted.
Like the time and like perceiving through time and all that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
It's just a no. Like, I think that it's more of an idea that, like, we are marching along towards a conclusion rather than anything being a circle.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you sort of see an inevitability, whereas you see Alexander is trying to skirt the inevitability, almost like he's playing with fire by trying to pretend like there's not a set path or an inevitable path.
Yeah,
Set
like
might
we're
be the
not
wrong
all
word,
gonna end up in the same place at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I like it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Courtney. All right.
Okay. Let's see. Well, I don't have one for Alexander yet, but I think this one could work. You find Alexander's vanity grating. How do you put them in their place?
Oh.
I actually don't see him as being very
Vain?
yeah, I don't
Okay,
that's not really part of how I'm seeing it.
My brain went to you first because hedonism, but I haven't had anything with you. Let me see what the other side says. You're always competing with them and trying to one-up each other. Is that something that we might?
What would be things that we would compete with each other about?
Do you do any fighting? Are you a fighting type?
We could do a little bit of sparring or.
What if we just have like contests and who can beat up the most guys? And... it's kind of like
counts as one.
Yeah, it's like the Gimli Legolas kind of thing. So like it's a friendly rivalry, but also I definitely take it way more seriously than I should.
Okay.
Yeah. Like you've just got more of that competitive streak, and like Alexander plays along, but you take it
Like,
seriously.
no, for real.
Yeah.
I'm keeping a real tally somewhere.
Tattooing it in your arm.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
What is this? The silence?
I may or may not be keeping track of how many people I've missed at a twin mask. I'm at the 63 now.
I want to start going to twin mask, but
Yes.
we don't have time for more hobbies.
Oh, yeah, that's a lot.
Okay. So that gives me tons of stuff to work with. So we are at 9:00, a little after, so we should probably call it. I feel like I've got a good sense of the characters and at least some way we want to go. so our next game is going to be 2 weeks from now. So December 23rd. Normally we're going to be doing every Saturday, but you know, it's holiday time and lots of stuff. There's always things going on. So we're planning on being back December 23rd. We'll start our first session, and we'll mostly do kind of like some just getting to know each other, you know, talking about our characters and sort of describing a little sort of day in the life kind of stuff, and maybe interacting with each other and some of the NPCs. Then we'll eventually lead into the events that will kick off our main story. But yeah, so does anybody have any questions before we say goodnight to everybody? Or no? I mean,
No
you
questions.
probably have like
Good.
thousands of questions because it's Mage, but we will answer those. So it could, I mean, I could literally spend an entire week like building characters in this game. So
I'm just the most important question is
Uh-huh.
if people listening along or viewing this later would like to get their very own copy of Decima.
yeah,
Oh, you get it.
right, yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, whereabouts could they look for such an amazing and award-winning tool?
a Golden Any award-winning tool, which is interesting because they could go to Golden Lasso Games and
Oh.
find their own copy of Decima. So Kimmy actually hates when we pitch like
I
this.
put a link in the chat.
Link in the chat. What? There's a link.
Oh,
Uh,
right there.
So if you go to goldenlassogames.com/Decima,
Kimmy would be glaring at us if
Yep.
she were actually in the room. But we love Kimmy and we love Decima. That's why we all post it. Not because she does not pay us to promote Decima. She does not punish us for not promoting Decima. She actually punishes us for promoting Decima in her presence. But
Okay, can you spell Decima?
Decuma,
Okay.
Decima.
Can you use it in a sentence?
I love to play with Decima.
Okay,
That is
okay, I
available
understand
at
that.
Golden Lasso
Right,
Games.
yeah.
GOLDLASSOGAMES.com.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much.
MOUSD. So, yeah. And don't type in the MOUSD. That's what you use to navigate your computer. So, anyway, thank you, audience, for sticking with us. If you stayed through 3 hours of our grad school discussion of magic and the world of Mage, good for you. Don't worry if you didn't hear everything or you missed anything. We'll catch you up and introduce our characters at the session 1 and get you a little primer into it. But hope you enjoyed this session. If anybody wants to have like long, lingering conversations about the metaphysical, quantum metaphysics, that's what I'm gonna call it. Yeah, quantum metaphysics. Like I'm your dude. So like let's chat. I'd like to thank our chat mods for their hard work. I believe it's James V is their chat or mod in the chat tonight. Thank you, James V. And James V also requested that the car chase be trans-dimensional. So
I'm putting points in drive.
all right, so we might have to see how that goes. Thank you to our amazing Patreons who keep us ad-free and independent. It's because of you that we're able to play games we enjoy without worrying about publishing companies or system popularity. You can join their heroic ranks at happyjacks.org/Patreon. Remember, we're always ad-free and independent here. If we promote things, it's because we genuinely like it, not because we're doing any sponsorships. My name is Adam, and I have been your storyteller. You can find me here in 2 weeks. We'll start our session 1 of Trinity's Wake, the Mage campaign, and then after that, we should be at a weekly Saturdays at 6 p.m. schedule. So for the most part, obviously we'll miss some because things happen and we all have lives, but mostly weekly. And then
Speak for yourself. I don't have a life.
yeah. Okay. I wish this was my life. Yeah. So let's go around the room and just say goodbye and where can we find you, and yeah.
Goodbye. I have been Pooja. You can find me on the internet as Forgotten Saves, posting pictures of my own wannabe ginger cat, and also my emo teenage girl. So,
Both of
and
them
also
are
like, you know, other things that I am in. Currently, you can tune in to Twitch on Mondays at Queen's Court Games to watch our mech space opera in a Southeast Asian inspired setting, Mekong Symphony for the Devil. If you would like to catch up on past episodes of that, you can go to the Queen's Court Game channel on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could also go to Twitch VODs, but don't do it.
Yeah.
Love yourself more.
Yeah, Nick.
Hey, I am Nick. You can find me on the internet at Sungrowler. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm on Twitter. I'm probably on there in Instagram, but don't follow me there because I never post anything there. Unless it gets cross-posted from Facebook, which means it's probably going to be about a personal thing for my family because I use Facebook for family and I use the other socials for other people. So good luck. I'm not in anything else right now. And so unless you're looking in my bedroom window, and please don't.
That's why you got to tune into this show.
Courtney.
Hi, I was Courtney. What am I doing these days? I'm not as easily findable on social these days. I swear I have a TikTok at Vampire Corgi. Nag me to make more hurdy-gurdy content for it. That's what I'm doing. I just don't really have good space to film it. But I mentioned on the last show that I did some recordings for The Witcher, and that is out now on season 3. So I have I have the clips on my TikTok of
Awesome.
what I did. It's not a lot, but it's
Yeah.
enough to make me go hee hee hee.
Hey, yeah.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yay. And Dion. Hi.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. I have been Dion. I'm not really on the internet outside of a personal situation, but you know, if you want to see pictures of my kid and my wife and the picture of happiness, you know, follow me on Instagram at Delta Echo 7792. Otherwise, if you want to see me on the internet, come back here. I will be here.
Right.
And also, before we go, I just want to say thank you for
Yes,
such
Adam.
an amazing job, Adam. You did great.
I
So,
understand.
I've
appreciate
literally
everything.
never heard
And
someone
I
explain
said right
Wheel of
before we
Darkness
started
so
that I
well.
have no idea what we're doing, and it was gonna be a lot of babying, and I actually feel like I understand things.
Oh, good.
So,
Good.
thank you,
Yeah,
Adam.
feel much
Yay,
better
cool.
about it.
Yeah. I've run this for enough people who have never played World of Darkness before. I've got it down pretty well to be able to like walk you through it. So I will get more lost in the weeds on the theoretics of it all than I will on the mechanics. The mechanics are like, oh yeah, this is easy. Just do this.
Just roll these dice.
Yeah.
Just
but yeah,
tell me what
and-
dice to roll.
right?
Good.
Always D10s.
Oh,
But
that's easy.
yeah.
Sorry, tell me how many dice to roll.
Yeah, that's the question. So I've been Adam. You can find me at Hoobuk, HOOBUK, on Instagram for pictures of my cats and my art and queer stuff, union stuff, native stuff, and what else do we do? Politics. Oh yeah, lots of politics and nerd stuff like this. And also you can usually catch me on Wednesday evenings on It's Probably Okay's Twitch channel. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but Jason and I have been playing some Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough on most Wednesday evenings. So feel free to come hang out with us there. So,
You also wear death on Wednesdays.
I do. Yeah. Well,
Ah.
we haven't been doing like the death run, but we are talking like we're going pretty slow because we only play like for a few hours on every Wednesday. But we might do a like honor run on that. I would love to. So, but anyway, join us 2 weeks from now, December 23rd, 6 p.m. Pacific for next session. If you want to catch up on past episodes like this one, which you will already have figured out if you catch up on this one. But you can go to happyjacks.org/Trinity's Wake.
Now, I feel like we're not addressing the time travelers who are moving backwards.
Yeah,
to
Oh,
the-
sorry.
The last episode.
Nope,
Yes.
nope.
Yeah.
It's now or later.
Yeah.
Nope.
Because even the time travelers are coming back to watch it now.
Yeah. It's interesting. Okay, we'll have another 3-hour debate about that. Yeah, if you want to find all of our other APs on the Happy Jacks Network, visit happyjacks.org. Thank you, everybody. Good night and good luck.
Bye.
Bye.